Chapter 853. Worldwide Conference Room. Chu Hongguang, Kai Yongsheng, the top management and shareholders were all present. The looks on their faces were different, and their eyes seemed to fall on Chu Hongguang. Chairman Chu wanted to give some authority and a lucrative job to his own family member. That was understandable, but it wasn't altogether inexcusable either. But who could have expected that this Kai Yongsheng would be so stupid to chase Yi Bai away? Outsiders had no idea how Yi Bai was recruited by Worldwide at such a young age without any power or backing, but the people present at HQ now knew the reason very clearly in their hearts. The incident involving Han Xianyu molesting a child had a very negative impact. Even the company was dragged into it, and Worldwide was helpless. It was Yi Bai who offered his services and executed a perfect plan to solve the crisis, which gave him the chance to enter Worldwide. This Kai Yongsheng, an idiot who relied on his relations with Chu Hongguang, actually wanted to compete with him? If he was respectful, it would have been fine to recruit a capable general. But the annoying part was that Kai Yongsheng was dumb and made everything such a terrible mess. Right now, not only was Yi Bai gone, but he even took 2 hottest artists and a stylist from Dazzling. Even when Worldwide shut him out, Yi Bai still made a breakthrough just by relying on a magazine cover. Any industry insiders who were slightly more knowledgeable would know that although it seemed like a simple cover shoot, it marketed the fashion industry, entertainment industry, and tourism industry, crossing multiple boundaries at once. It could even be considered a classic example of a counterattack to traditional media. According to the latest news, the country's famous tourism sector already reached an agreement to collaborate and signed a contract with Luo Chen and Gong Su to be their tourism ambassadors. Also, the well-known clothing brand in China also invited them to be their spokespeople. These were top-level positions that would be difficult for a big company like Worldwide to obtain. Even though everyone knew where the problem lay, everybody still gave Chu Hongguang some face and nobody pointed it out bluntly. Kai Yongsheng, who was hard-pressed on every side, gritted his teeth and said, "This Yi Bai, not only did he take the company's artists away, but he even blackened the reputation of the artists under me by using all sorts of underhand methods. He should be punished harshly." Chairman Chu, shut up. Chu Hongguang was suppressing a bellyful of anger, but when he heard his nephew speaking this way and not learning from his mistakes, he became even more agitated. Kai Yongsheng didn't have any choice but to suppress his anger himself. Chu Hongguang scanned the people in the conference room and said in a low voice, "What suggestions do you guys have?" Everyone looked at one another. One of the middle-aged shareholders wearing a blue-gray suit spoke up. "Haha, Chairman Chu, as the shareholders, we obviously want to work in a way where we can earn the most profits. Since Yi Bai is capable, why don't we just hire him back again?" Kai Yongsheng's face froze. "No way. Where am I going to put my face if I hire Yi Bai back right now? Would I still have a place at Dazzling?" At this moment, a certain higher-up said, "I'm afraid this isn't appropriate. After all, we have to take into account the image of our company. No matter what, Yi Bai took 2 artists and left the company. If we hired him back after what happened, wouldn't we be encouraging that sort of behavior?" Kai Yongsheng chimed in immediately. Exactly. That's right. Not only should we not hire him back, but we need to teach him a lesson. We have to kill the chicken to warn the monkey one." The moment Kai Yongsheng said that, Han Xianyu and Fei Yang walked into the conference room. Han Xianyu's public reputation was second to none in the industry. Ever since that incident, he was the walking signboard of Worldwide, and was also one of the shareholders at Worldwide, so he was entitled to join the conference. Chapter 854. A few minutes ago, Han Xianyu shared Yi Bai's Weibo post, and it caused quite a stir. Ow. Little Angel Xianyu is finally posting on his Weibo after disappearing for so long. Wait. What did I just see? Did Little Angel just share the post by the boss of Age of the Immortals, Yi Bai? Tigers live in the woods and dragons belong to the vast sea. This sounds so domineering. If even Xianyu said this hottie must really be quite amazing, huh? I'll support whoever Little Angel Xianyu supports. I'll cheer Yi Bai on. As long as you need me, I'll be by your side forever. This sounds too provocative. It's like watching the birth of a new CP. Oh damn. Wait a minute, that rumored gay partner of Little Angel Xianyu. who he's very close to, can't be Yi by GG, can it? If that's the case, this is true love. Ever since the child molestation case ended, Han Xianyu focused on acting and rarely appeared in public and the media. He didn't even post on his Weibo very often, and some fans realized that the occasional posts he made always mentioned one person. For example, somebody said that my left profile looks better? I let someone read my fortune today. In the end, he could only read someone else's but not mine. Cough when a certain someone is drunk, it's really indescribable. Han Xianyu's fans were already speculating about this someone he kept referring to, and now, they connected it to Yi Bai. After all, ever since that incident, Han Xianyu rarely talked about his own friends aside from that one. In the conference room, upon seeing Han Xianyu appear, Kai Yongsheng's face turned extremely ugly. He just saw the post Han Xianyu shared. Kai Yongsheng scoffed and looked at Han Xianyu. He said gloomily, "Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's our superstar Han." Indeed, when one gains fame, his wings harden. He actually openly violated the company's orders and shared that Weibo post, publicly indicating his support for Yi Bai. I'd like to know just what you were thinking, Han Xianyu glanced at Kai Yongsheng coldly. The way I work is none of your business. You. Kai Yongsheng was embarrassed and his face turned red. He immediately pointed at Han Xianyu's nose and started yelling. Han Xianyu, are you trying to rebel like YBAIHUH? Since you support him so much, why didn't you leave the company with him? When Han Xianyu heard that, he replied indifferently, sure. The moment Han Xianyu said that, Kai Yongsheng went silent all of a sudden, and the look of ridicule on his face froze. The entire conference room was in complete silence as well. Nobody expected this would happen. Kai Yongsheng was dumbstruck. His face was the color of pig's liver at this point. Han Xianyu, what do you mean? Han Xianyu replied expressionlessly. The literal meaning, didn't Director Kai ask me to leave the company? Cold sweat started dripping. Kai Yongsheng had suppressed too much anger inside and didn't dare vent at the top management and shareholders. So he chose a pushover and vented his anger at Han Xianyu instead. Who knew that Han Xianyu, who had always been gentle and easygoing, would have such a harsh attitude now? Although Luo Chun and Gong Su were very popular at the moment, they could be easily replaced by newbies. Meanwhile, Han Xianyu was like Worldwide Entertainment's ambassador. After he was acquitted of that molestation case, it caused a huge effect on society, because he had always been charitable but was framed and slandered by others. Today, his popularity and favor with the public were unparalleled in the entire entertainment industry. The few individuals who left with Yi Bai already left Kai Yongsheng beaten black and blue. If Han Xianyu was also chased out by him, he would be finished. Chapter 855. Chu Hongguang turned to Kai Yongsheng with a darkened expression. Yongsheng apologized to Xianyu. Kai Yongsheng immediately blew up. Why should I apologize to him? He's just a lowly actor. Who is he that I have to apologize to him? He should be the one apologizing to me. He already lost enough face the past few days. It was absolutely impossible for him to apologize to an entertainer in public. Han Xianyu wasn't like Yi Bai and the others. As the pillar of Worldwide, how he was treated was very different. All the resources in Worldwide were given to him, so how could he simply leave for someone like Yi Bai? In reality, Kai Yongsheng truly thought too lowly of Han Xianyu. With his talents, he didn't have to rely on the company anymore, and it was the company that relied on him instead. Chu Hongguang obviously knew this fact, and he slammed the table. Kai Yongsheng, shut the hell up. I want you to apologize, do you hear me? Han Xianyu didn't even bother looking at Kai Yongsheng. He turned towards Chu Hongguang, who was sitting on the main seat, and said indifferently, Chairman Chu, no need for that. If there's nothing else, please arrange for the lawyer to handle the contract terminations for me and Yang Ji. After Han Xianyu finished speaking, he bowed towards Chu Hongguang, and considered this his final farewell to the first company he worked at. Then he left immediately without saying a word. Behind him, Fei Yang looked at Han Xianyu's departing figure, and wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't. Han Xianyu, you, before Kai Yongsheng could complete his sentence, Fei Yong already interrupted him. Director Kai, I advise you to stop using the same trick you used on Yi Bai. Yi Bai was an upright guy, so he didn't take revenge or make your scandals public. I'm not the same though. Fei Yong paused and waved his phone before he continued. Oh right, I recorded everything you said just now. If Kai Yongsheng wanted to write an article about Han Xianyu leaving, that would be too naive. Since he wanted to leave, he naturally had to make sure he could walk out cleanly. He didn't want to give Kai Yongsheng anything he could use against him. Therefore, when he noticed that things weren't going well, he already turned on the recorder with a subtle reminder from Han Xianyu in order to avoid getting counterattacked. After all, this was the trick Kai Yongsheng usually used. In fact, with Han Xianyu's current status, he could have already left on his own long ago. Many artists like him already left their companies and started their own studios. Fei Yong was already in the middle of helping Han Xianyu plan and prepare, and they also talked about it many times before, but Han Xianyu hadn't made a firm decision, and Fei Yong wasn't sure what he was waiting for either. This chapter is scrapped from Read Light Novel. He didn't expect that in the end, Han Xianyu would leave the company like that. A sudden thought came to Fei Yong. He couldn't have been waiting for this day all along, right? Upon seeing Han Xianyu and Fei Yong actually leaving like that, Kai Yongsheng was stunned. Beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead and he was in disbelief. Seeing how things were developing, the top management and shareholders were looking at Kai Yongsheng like he was a fool. This Kai Yongsheng really thinks that as the nephew of Chairman Chu, he can rule worldwide? Never mind that he strutted around and flaunted his power in a small subsidiary company like Dazzling, but he didn't know how to exercise restraint even at Worldwide HQ. Many of the top management disliked this dumb Kai Yongsheng, and at this moment, they were all anticipating a good show. After causing such a huge mess, even Chu Hongguang could no longer protect him. With Chu Hongguang's patience towards Kai Yongsheng reaching its limit, he said, "You go to the finance department to get your pay and go the hell back to your mother." Kai Yongsheng finally panicked. Uncle, how could you do this to me? Chapter 856. In Chu Hongguang's office. His assistant tried to advise him cautiously. Chairman Chu, calm down, don't be so mad. Actually, you should know that sooner or later, we wouldn't have been able to keep Han Xianyu anyway. Still enraged, Chu Hongguang replied. Of course I knew he'd leave sooner or later, but it could have been more peaceful. How would it have compared to this situation right now? In the future, even if Han Xianyu left, it would ideally be under better conditions. He was still groomed by their company, and if he did well on his own, glory would still go to their company. Moreover, if he wanted to leave the company of his own volition, he'd be in the wrong. They would still have control and speaking power, so public opinion would certainly be on their side. In the future, if they wanted to collaborate with him, they would definitely get priority. But right now, with the advantage falling into the hands of others, everything was screwed up by that idiot who couldn't achieve anything and only knew how to ruin things. The little secretary then knocked on the door and came in. Chairman Chu, Director Kai is outside. He's making a scene and wants to see you. Ask him to get lost. Yes. The little secretary scurried away. Chu Hongguang raged in fury, but calmed down very shortly afterward. He had numerous companies and subsidiaries under Worldwide, and he had countless influential people and A-listers around him, so losing just a couple of staff members from Dazzling would only mean slightly lesser profits. It was no big deal. As for Han Xianyu, Chu Hongguang could only send people to meditate the situation quickly. Now, the most urgent matter wasn't these trivial things, but his sworn enemy, Emperor Sky Entertainment. He heard that the Yi family's eldest daughter, Yi Yi, would soon be engaged to the Gu family's successor, Gu Yuzhe. When that time came, with such a powerful union, the impact on Worldwide would be even greater. Wow. Yi Ji, come and look at this. Xianyu Ji is too manly. Yi Wanwan was busy doing her work when Gong Su suddenly howled and ran over to her with his phone. Then she saw that Han Xianyu actually shared her Weibo post. Yi Wanwan. Xianyu is back. She knew Han Xianyu had been overseas filming, and if she didn't remember wrong, today was the day he returned home. So, he must have shared her Weibo post as soon as he resumed contact with the outside world. And he did it even when Worldwide ordered all the artists internally that they weren't to have any connections with her. Yi Wanwan looked at those phrases. You belong to a bigger world. And as long as you need me, I'll be by your side forever, and felt a warmth in her heart. In her previous life, she found herself utterly isolated and died a lonely death, but right now, she had so many true friends around her. Yi Mufan nodded and spoke in a brother-in-law manner. This artist, Han Xianyu, isn't bad, huh? Our mom. My mom is a fan of his. She watches his drama every single day and watches his advertisements on repeat. Luo Chen looked worried. Since Senior Xianyu shared a Weibo post like this, would Worldwide make things hard for him? They were chatting away when they suddenly heard Xiaoqing's screams from the front desk outside. Xian. Xianyu. Xiaoqing and Dong Zai were artists' assistants and were paid by the artists. They weren't affiliated with the company, so after they left Dazzling to work with Yi Bai, Xiaoqing had to work at the front desk temporarily as they hadn't had time to recruit proper staff members. Yi Wanwan heard the commotion outside, and instinctively turned to look at the entrance. In the next second, she saw a handsome young man wearing a windbreaker appearing at her office door, dusty and travel-worn. Chapter 857. Han Xianyu looked at her. There was warmth all over his dusty face as he said, Yi Bai, it's been long. Yi Wanwan hadn't expected that Han Xianyu would appear before her in person right after she saw his Weibo post, so she was still quite shocked. Xianyu, why are you here? Han Xianyu raised his brows subtly then said, Congratulations on your new company. I'm here to present you with a gift. Yi Wanwan hadn't snapped back to her senses yet. Gift? What gift? Han Xianyu nodded. And myself. Yi Wanwan, Gongsu. Seeing the normally swift and decisive Yi Wanwan actually in a daze, Han Xianyu's eyes revealed a tinge of laughter. Will you accept me? Yi Wanwan was dazzled by the young man's charming smile, and she took half a day to return to her senses. Behind Han Xianyu, Fei Yong looked at his artist and choked slightly. The corners of his lips twitched and he was speechless. He was cursing in his heart. We're just here to discuss collaboration. Why must you sound so provocative? Anyway, the other party is a man, alright? He's never been so flirty even with a girl before. It's like this, Director Yi, wrong. I should call you Chairman Yi now. We're here to join your company. Fei Yang explained. However, Yi Wanwan became even more shocked after Fei Yang's explanation. What, join my company? Han Xianyu. Why? We're not welcome here? Yi Wanwan's mind was a mess, and she held her forehead. Wait. Let me digest this a little. You belong to Worldwide, how could you? Han Xianyu replied. I terminated my contract with Worldwide an hour ago. Yi Wanwan. This news is simply too sudden. Han Xianyu actually terminated his contract with Worldwide, and wants to join my company? She knew Han Xianyu always valued friendships, and because she helped him before, he always looked out for her. She was very touched that he supported her openly, but Yi Wanwan never expected that he would actually do this. Gongsu widened his eyes while Luo Chen and Yi Mufan looked at each other. They were all stunned. Han Xianyu wants to join our company? From an established and big company like Worldwide to a small startup like us? Yi Wanwan's expression gradually turned stern and she warned. Xianyu, this isn't a small matter. Don't be impulsive and let your emotions affect your decisions. I just started this company not long ago and it's still very new. Not everything is on track yet, and with Gongsu and Luo Chen under me, I'll be very busy for sure. With your talent and abilities, there's no need for you to come over to our side. Even if you didn't mind, with our company's abilities, we won't be able to. Before Yi Wanwan could finish, Han Xianyu interrupted her and looked at her firmly. Yi Bai, I know this and that's why my manager is still Yang Ji. He'll be in charge of my assignments. I'll get my own assistant, and you don't have to worry about my acting so you can busy yourself with your own matters. You don't have to worry about me at all. Yi Wanwan, oh please. That's not the main point. Hello. Also, since you don't need me, why do you want to come over to my side? Yi Wanwan was between laughter and tears as she looked at Han Xianyu. When you put it this way, it really sounds like I'd be taking advantage of you. I won't allow this for sure. Han Xianyu laughed. Boss Yi, I don't even mind being taken advantage of, so why should you? Chapter 858. Yi Wanwan was speechless. She finally spoke up after a long time. Xianyu, I view you as a friend, so I can't take advantage of you like that. Han Xianyu looked at her. You understand we're friends too, huh? Then why didn't you even call me when you were going through a difficult time? Did you know how I felt after I heard what happened? You made me feel as though you didn't really treat me as a friend after we've known each other for so long. Han Xianyu looked hurt as he spoke. Seeing that Han Xianyu misunderstood, Yi Wanwan hurriedly explained. How could that be? I expected this to happen. I could resolve things myself. Anyway, I knew you were filming a movie overseas, so I didn't want to bother you. Knowing that Han Xianyu was an artist from Worldwide and was technically in the middle of the conflict, how could she have sought him out to ask him for help? But Yi Wanwan still felt somewhat guilty, probably because she lived two lives and had gone through quite a bit. So she wasn't willing to really lay her heart bare to other people, and would never rely on others for matters that she could handle herself. Seeing how anxious Yi Wanwan was, Han Xianyu's expression turned gentler, and he spoke in a serious manner. Yi Bai, I told you before that I was actually planning to leave Worldwide already, but I was too lazy to start my own studio. I'm great at acting, but as for operating a business, I know nothing about it and I hate wasting my energy on these things. However, you're smart and capable. All we're missing is some networks and opportunities. If we work together, we're merely taking what we need and nobody is taking advantage of anyone. Is it more okay if I put it that way? Seems like Han Xianyu is serious this time, and he's already made a decision. Yi Wanwan was in a pickle. So, she turned to the other three people in the room. What do you guys think? After all, they were also the shareholders of the company. Yi Mufan sized Han Xianyu up with glistening eyes. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. Although he didn't want his younger sister to be seduced by some other guy, he knew she would have to get married someday, and if he had to choose, Han Xianyu was the one he found most pleasing to the eyes at the moment. After all, decorating something that was already perfect was easy, but delivering coal in the snow was tough. There was definitely no issue with this guy's character. Furthermore, the Empress Dowager at home liked him too. Maybe he would be able to kick away that wild man who used his looks to trick others. Hence, Yi Mufan answered immediately. I think Xianyu's right and what he said makes sense. I'm okay to having Xianyu join us. Boss, what are you worried about, huh? Where did your domineering spirit go? At a shitty place like Worldwide, Xianyu already reached his peak and he wouldn't benefit if he stayed on. If you're worried that he's going to suffer by joining us, you should personally push him to strive for more. What Yi Mufan said really enticed Yi Wanwan. He seemed to understand his younger sister very well. Indeed, the moment he said that, Yi Wanwan's expression relaxed. After that, Luochen spoke up as well. I agree to having Senior Xianyu join us too. Yi Mufan spoke eagerly. Since everyone's in agreement, it's confirmed. Xianyu, welcome to the team. Yi Mufan was about to shake hands with Han Xianyu when Gong Su pounced over. Damn. Is young master invisible? I didn't get a chance to speak. I object. Object. Damn it. Alert alert. Red alert. Another one coming to snatch Yi Ji away from me. And he's such a formidable rival. Han Xianyu was well-rounded. He was great at acting and had a fantastic public reputation. His talents were all squeezed out so there wasn't a single drop left. If Han Xianyu joined them, would there still be any place for Gong Su in this house? Your IQ is too low, so stop talking. Yi Mufan immediately brushed Gong Su away, then continued to shake Han Xianyu's hand and sealed the deal. Chapter 859. Yi Mufan. Xianyu, welcome to the team. Let me know if you need anything. I'll take care of anything for you. Han Xianyu. Thank you. Gong Su was stomping his feet by the side. Hey. Han Xianyu walked over to Yi Wanwan's side. If you're worried about things on Kai Yongsheng's side, Yang Ji has a handle on him. He wouldn't dare to breathe a word to the outside. Furthermore, all of your departures from Worldwide already impacted their reputation quite a bit, and with Chu Hongguang's character, he wouldn't let Kai Yongsheng continue to blow things up. Yi Bai, trust me, alright? I thought about it very carefully before coming to a decision. Yuanwan. Obviously I believe you. Previously, she was worried about Han Xianyu being impulsive, but he had always been dependable and would never do anything he wasn't prepared for. When he made this decision, he solved all of her worries. She had to say that this kind of artist, whom she didn't have to worry about, was truly a manager's dream come true. Gongsu. Hey. Gongsu, who was jumping on the side, was unfortunately unable to get his words out, so he dragged Luo Chen to the corner. What are you doing? Luo Chen furrowed his brows and straightened his shirt. Gongsu put his hands on his hips and asked, Luo Chen, are you dumb? How could you agree to that? Luo Chen glanced at him. Why not? With endless enthusiasm, Gongsu immediately exclaimed, have you forgotten what Yiji said before? Yiji loved saying that if I could be 1% as worry-free as Han Xianyu, he'd be able to smile while dwelling in the land of the dead. What does this tell us? This shows he already wanted to recruit Han Xianyu long ago. Now Han Xianyu's really joining us and he can act, sing, dance, play the piano, has a multitude of talents, is extremely popular in the country, and has a perfect reputation. With him here, would there still be a place for the two of us? Huh? Gongsu deliberately placed more emphasis on these three words. Two of us, to pull Luo Chen to his side. Luo Chen. Gongsu sighed. Look at you, you're always so dim-witted. You wouldn't even know if someone betrayed you. You have to be more careful. Let me tell you. It hurts. Yuanwan could no longer tolerate this. She grabbed Gongsu's collar and dragged him over. What nonsense are you spouting? Gongsu put on an aggrieved look and he rebutted unhappily. I was speaking the truth. Since when have I spouted nonsense? Yuanwan. Since when did you ever have a place? Gongsu went blank at first before he howled and rolled to the side of the sofa. Cries Yiji. I don't want to live anymore. With the corners of her mouth twitching, Yuanwan said, you had so much time to think about this nonsense. Why can't you just think about how you can be 1% of Han Xianyu, so I don't have to worry about you at all? Gongsu. Your concubine, I can't do it. Yuanwan. Han Xianyu chuckled. Actually, it's great that Gongsu is like this. I've always been very envious of him. In this industry, everything an artist does is infinitely magnified under the spotlight and very few people can live without restraint like him. Yuanwan. Yes, especially after an artist reaches a certain level, there's nothing much a manager can do and most of their time is spent helping him gain a bit of freedom. That was why although she scolded Gongsu quite frequently, she didn't force him to do anything as long as it wasn't a matter of principle. Upon hearing what Yuanwan said, Han Xianyu smiled at her with an undetectable trace of gloominess. With a voice that only he could hear, he murmured, too bad there are some freedoms that are unachievable in this lifetime. Chapter 860. Gongsu peeped at Han Xianyu through the gaps of his fingers and mumbled, don't think that by saying that, I'll agree to let you join us. Luo Chen worked with Yiji first, so never mind that he was more favored, but why should this guy who joined later get special treatment as well? The veins on Yuanwan's forehead popped out. This bastard needs a beating before he'll behave, huh? Yuanwan rolled her sleeves up, and was about to beat him when Han Xianyu stopped her. He then turned to Gongsu casually. Gongsu, you don't have to worry about a thing actually. Among all of us, your personality is the most prominent and nobody can ignore your presence at any point in time. Also, if we're talking about appearance, yours is the most secure in the group. No one can replace you. BBB best looking person on the team. Gongsu sat up and grabbed Han Xianyu's hand. Xianyu ji, welcome to the team. It's an honor to work with someone with such great taste and foresight. Han Xianyu cough. Yuanwan, Luo Chen, Yimu fan this brat. Since all four people had no objections, Han Xianyu and Fei Yang were finally a part of the team. Han Xianyu decided to invest by becoming a partner as well. That evening, Yuanwan booked a private dining room at a hotel to welcome Han Xianyu and Fei Yang. Yuanwan stood up and raised her glass. Let's welcome the two of you to the team. Let me give you guys a toast. When Han Xianyu saw this, he hastily tried to stop her and asked, aren't you not allowed to drink? Yuanwan. A little is fine. Han Xianyu knew she valued him, and seemed to recall something when he chuckled. Forget it, you should just stick to juice. We don't have to do this. Han Xianyu sounded more frightened than thoughtful. Yi Wanwan muttered. Am I really so terrible when I'm drunk? Han Xianyu rubbed his nose. Not too bad. As he said this, his mind suddenly played back the scene at that time. He was sitting in the passenger seat. His bright and watery eyes stared at Han Xianyu as he broke into a smile. The light from his eyes dispersed, and it was as if there were hundreds and thousands of white flowers blooming. How could I throw up when I'm looking at such a beautiful face? Yi Mufan obviously didn't want his own younger sister to drink, so he hastily said, What drinks? Just drink the fruit juice. Han Xianyu returned to his senses immediately, and changed Yi Wanwan's glass to juice, then made a toast. Cheers, cheers. Let's welcome Senior Xianyu to the team. Xianyu Ji, welcome to the team. Han Xianyu had a very high EQ. He cared for everyone's feelings, so it didn't take long for Gong Su and Luo Chen to click very well with him. After the gathering ended, they went their own ways while Yi Wanwan and Yi Mufan headed in the same direction. In the car, Yi Wanwan said, With the injection of funds by Xianyu and the endorsements we accepted lately, we should more or less have enough to film the movie. Yi Mufan nodded. I hope everything goes smoothly. He then looked at Yi Wanwan and said with a worried expression, Have you heard about what happened at the Yi family? Yi Wanwan. What? Lately, she had been occupied with work and hadn't paid much attention to what was going on over there. Yi Mufan hesitated for a long time before he finally said, Yi and Gu Yuze are getting engaged. Grandma called and told me just a few days ago. Yi Mufan observed Yi Wanwan's reaction, afraid she would be affected by the news. Yi Wanwan looked indifferent, and didn't seem to have a change in expression. Is that so? Chapter 861. The two of them were eager to get married all along, but because Yi Wanwan called off the engagement abruptly during the birthday banquet, Gu Yuze was caught by surprise and was embarrassed, so it had to be pushed back. Fearing that Yi Wanwan would be affected, Yi Mufan hurriedly comforted her. Wanwan, it isn't worth getting upset over that kind of man. If you're unhappy, I'll help you beat him up. Feeling helpless but at the same time moved, Yi Wanwan replied, Go, I'm no longer a kid. She then blinked and looked at Yi Mufan. Go, have you ever heard of this saying? You're constantly thinking of your ex only because your new lover. Yi Mufan realized he knew the ending when he heard the beginning, so he interrupted her with a straight face. Because the new lover isn't good enough, right? Yeah, well, you don't have to show off anymore, okay? I got it, I know your new lover is much better. Yi Wanwan laughed. What are you thinking? Since when have I showed off? I just wanted to say that I constantly thought of my ex because my brain was damaged in the past, but I have my IQ back right now. Of course, the fact that my baby's so good looking that he's capable of causing the downfall of a city is also one of the main reasons. Yi Mufan. She just went in one big circle. Isn't this still showing off? Late at night, Jean Garden. Si Han was in the living room dealing with some business. It wasn't known when he started using the living room for work. Sui was standing at the side respectfully. Lately, Master's health had improved slightly. There was suddenly more work at the company now, and with Miss Wanwan so busy as well, the two of them hadn't met up as regularly. Even though Miss Wanwan still checked in with Sui about Master's life. Looking at the profile of his master's chilly face, Sui hesitated for a long while until he couldn't hold it in any longer and he said, Master, actually, you can take the initiative to go see Miss Wanwan. There should be some element of surprise when two people are together. His master really didn't know a thing about dating and Sui was getting anxious as he watched them. See Yi Han. Surprise. Sui nodded repeatedly in fear that his master still wouldn't know what to do. He hurriedly explained. Think about it. Weren't you very happy when Miss Wanwan suddenly went to the company to see you before? See Yi Han. Well, even if his master was an iceberg, Sui knew he must have been really happy. So he continued. So if you take the initiative to see Miss Wanwan at her office and bring her a dessert or a small gift, don't you think she would be really surprised? A faint light flashed in Si Yi Han's eyes and the man who called him boring appeared in his mind. Soon, Yi Wanwan chose an auspicious date to announce the news of Han Xianyu joining the company. In the end, the result was just as they expected. Kai Yongsheng remained extremely silent and didn't dare to do anything to them at all. Worldwide issued an official statement and congratulated Yi Bai on his new company. Then they praised Han Xianyu and passed on some good wishes like, "We wish him a bright and beautiful future," and so on, a complete change in attitude of wanting to shut them out before. Chu Hongguang knew very clearly what the public was feeling, and that they wouldn't benefit from trying to fight with them. So it was better to make a generous gesture and give them his blessing. On her way back to the company, Yi Wanwan's mouth curled up when she saw Worldwide's Weibo post. On the surface, Chu Hongguang was pretending to be very generous, but he probably hated her to the core and really wished she would go bankrupt and shut down, right? Chapter 862. It wouldn't have been that bad if Han Xianyu left and started out on his own, but he actually chose to join Yi Bai's company. He would rather join this small startup than remain with Worldwide. Chu Hongguang's face really got slapped hard this time. Right now, Yi Wanwan and the others had officially entered their work mode. Today Yi Mufan was attending an event by the Fashion Association. Fei Yang was accompanying Han Xianyu to Imperial City TV studio for an interview, while Luo Chun and Gong Su were attending a meet-and-greet session with their fans alongside their assistants. Yi Wanwan also just confirmed the film site, signed the lease and was rushing to the office right now. She would rest for 2 hours in the afternoon before continuing to work. She was contemplating whether she should head over to C Corporation during these 2 hours to see Yi Han. They had both been quite busy lately, so they'd been meeting less frequently. It seemed like they hadn't seen each other in 3 days this time. Yi Wanwan considered it as she took out her phone, but the moment she took it out, it started ringing. It was Yi Han calling. Yi Wanwan hurriedly picked up. "Hello, darling, what a coincidence. I was just thinking about you. Are you at the office? I'll head over and we'll have lunch together. What do you think?" "I'm at your office." His usual, cold voice came through the receiver. Yi Wanwan was stunned. "What? My office? You came to my office?" "Yi Han. I brought lunch for you. You can just head over here directly." Yi Wanwan felt as if she was put on a pedestal. Yi Han actually delivered a lunch made with love. His EQ was simply increasing at light speed. Yi Wanwan nodded excitedly. Sure, I'll fly over right now. Wait for me. I'm already at the entrance. I'll be there real soon." Yi Han wanted to say more, but Yi Wanwan had already hung up in a hurry. Yi Wanwan drifted on the road and parked her car, then pressed the button for the elevator quickly. The elevator was very convenient as it was directly linked to their office. After she went up, Yi Wanwan strode to her own office. The moment she pushed the door open, Yi Han was right there sitting on the sofa in her office. He had his blazer off and was wearing a light gray knitted top with a white shirt underneath. He was holding a random foreign language book she used as decoration on her shelf, and he was engrossed in reading it. With the sunlight penetrating through the windows and dispersing throughout the room, this scene was as perfect as a painting. A day away from a dear one was like going through 3 seasons. Yi Wanwan was captivated by this beauty. She locked the office door, tossed away her bag and car keys, then ran over. Both her arms knocked against the back of the sofa behind Yi Han as she leaned over and gave him a sweet kiss. "Darling, I love you so much." Upon getting kissed by her, all of a sudden, Yi Han looked at her with an indescribable expression. Why's Yi Han looking at me weirdly?" Yi Wanwan was suspicious as she suddenly heard a dong from the side. An apple rolled to her feet. Then Yi Wanwan, who was still absorbed by his beauty, immediately turned her head, and finally, she noticed that there were other people around. Other than Yi Han. Gong Su froze in the same position he had when he was holding the apple. He was completely dumbstruck. Luo Chun, who was initially speaking to Han Xianyu, was flabbergasted, and Han Xianyu was also completely stunned. There was silence in the office. It was completely still, like everyone's acupuncture points got poked, making them freeze. Yi Wanwan's heart was roaring like a volcano about to erupt. Shit! What the hell is going on? Why are there other people in the office? Don't they have other things to do these next few days? Yi Han, why didn't you tell me there were others here? Yi Wanwan whined with her frantic eyes. At this very moment, Yu Wanwan was still in the same caved-on position. Si Yihan straightened his slightly untidy collar and said, "You didn't give me a chance to tell you." Yu Wanwan. Chapter 863. What? Didn't give him a chance to tell me? How could that be? Yu Wanwan thought about it with her scattered mind. She realized that Si Yihan seemed like he had something to say right before she hung up, but she didn't listen and hung up anyway. After that, she assumed there wouldn't be anyone at the office today for sure. When she entered the office, she was overwhelmed by the beauty before her, so in the end, she didn't even see those three big, living human beings. She directly rushed over to Si Yihan and kissed him. She really didn't give him a chance to speak at all. Damn it. She didn't expect that after being so smart her entire life, she would actually make such an amateur mistake. The only thing she could rejoice about was that whenever she was disguised as a man, she never used a female voice. But what was the use of that, huh? She racked her brains to turn the situation around before, but this time, with the undeniable evidence before them, she couldn't clear her name even if she jumped into the Yellow River. The office was still silent. It was as if the three of them had transformed into rocks. Luo Chun was akin to a stone pillar. Han Xianyu was stunned. Even Gong Su, who knew about this, was dumbfounded. Although this was the case, Yu Wanwan felt she couldn't just give up like that, and could try to salvage the situation a little. Hurry, think of something, think. That time, when Luo Chun and Han Xianyu were at the door, and they saw me pouncing onto Si Yihan. How did I explain herself, huh? Yi Wanwan's brain was racing at top speed while she forced herself to stay calm. She straightened her clothes as she retracted her arm from behind Si Yihan. Damn. At this critical point, I'm thinking but I really can't come up with anything. It's so rare that Si Yihan would come over to visit me on his own. I even locked the door. Yet this happened. Alas, Yu Wanwan stood up with a very strong sense of self-control. She didn't have to worry about Gong Su while Han Xianyu could wait a little. The top priority was Luo Chun. Ah, Luo Chun. Thus, Yu Wanwan revealed an extremely warm smile and looked straight at Luo Chun. Haha, you guys are all here? Luo Chun, weren't you guys supposed to go to the fan meet and greet? Luo Chun looked at Si Yihan, who was on the sofa, then he turned to Yu Wanwan. He took a very long time before he recovered the ability to speak and he replied with pauses. And ended early, so we came back earlier. Gong Su turned and looked at Yu Wanwan. It was a look that read, go on, make something up, I'll see how you're going to cook up a story. Yu Wanwan spoke leisurely. Oh, no wonder. Cough, I was just messing with my friend. Gong Su. Han Xianyu. Yes. She knew using this excuse again was really dumb, and she was literally treating them like retards. At least she only pounced on Si Yihan the last time and didn't kiss him, so she could still pretend like they were just playing. But what else could she do now? She was in despair this time. Aside from this reason, she really couldn't think of anything else to say. Black lines covered Gong Su's head. He glanced at Yu Wanwan speechless. Yi, do you think we're retards, huh? Yu Wanwan. Alright, she was simply too careless. Well, cough, haha, sorry about that. My friend brought lunch over for me and I got too excited. Don't let your thoughts run wild. Yu Wanwan racked her brains and continued explaining. Gong Su couldn't hold it in any longer. His lips twitched and he said, lunch, made with love? Yi. Do you know you're making things worse? Yu Wanwan. Darn it. Why is my IQ so low? Luo Chun. Listen to my explanation. I see. When Luo Chun heard that, his face relaxed and he heaved a sigh of relief. Yi, you go ahead with your lunch then. You must be hungry after running around the entire morning. Yu Wanwan. Huh? Gong Su. Han Xianyu. Chapter 864. That worked? I thought I was SCR**wed this time. Even Yi Wanwan herself didn't expect she would actually be able to hoodwink Luo Chun, not to mention the others. Gong Su stared at Luo Chun and his jaw almost dropped. Luo Chun, are you for real? He pounced onto that man the moment he stepped in, kissed him and even said he loves him. How could this be just messing around? Luo Chun furrowed his brows. What are you trying to say? Didn't Yi just explain it? Gong Su was dumbfounded. Shit, your IQ is just. Yu Wanwan hurriedly charged over and smacked Gong Su on the head, then she warned him in a low voice. Shut the hell up. She then turned to Luo Chen immediately. Cough, everything's okay, Luo Chen. Don't listen to his nonsense. This guy just wants to stir some trouble. Don't ever listen to a word he says, understand? Luo Chen nodded. And Gong Su, who's the one talking nonsense, eh? You're a big fat liar. Fortunately, Luo Chen didn't doubt her at all. With the greatest issue settled, Yu Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief, then she pulled Gong Su harshly and warned him sternly. If you dare to speak any rubbish to Luo Chen, I'll make sure I kill you, you hear me? Gong Su felt like he suffered an injustice. His eyes turned watery as he glared at Luo Chen with jealousy. He thought the person with the lowest status in the house was Luo Chen, but right now it seemed like Yi Ji held a higher regard for Luo Chen than him. Ah, what a painful realization. Am I the one you love the most? Why aren't you talking? Gong Su wailed and ran out of the office crying. Yu Wanwan held her head. Alas, the bomb was gone. However, the crisis wasn't resolved yet. Yu Wanwan looked at Han Xianyu thoughtfully. Luo Chen was innocent, and with the trust he had in her, he wasn't suspicious of her at all. He'd believe whatever she said, but as for Han Xianyu, Yu Wanwan pinched her brows. Well, Xianyu. Han Xianyu had the same warm smile on his face and he said, Go ahead and have your lunch. I won't interrupt you any longer. I'll talk to you about the film site later. Yu Wanwan. All right, Luo Chen. Yi Ji, I'll take my leave now too. Go on. Han Xianyu and Luo Chen left the office one after another. Outside, before he left the office, Han Xianyu stopped in his tracks and took a glimpse at the man on the sofa. Luo Chen. Senior Xianyu, what is it? Han Xianyu returned to his normal self very quickly. Nothing much, let's go. In the office, after Gong Su, Luo Chen and Han Xianyu left, only Yu Wanwan and Si Yihan were left in the room. After making sure the three of them had really left, Yu Wanwan collapsed onto the sofa. BBB Beauty. Beauty attracts trouble. Finally managed to turn it around. She turned to Si Yihan and extended her arms. It's all your fault. What are you so darn good looking for? Before Yu Wanwan's fingers could reach him, Si Yihan said, Han Xianyu. Yu Wanwan retracted her arms in an instant with a swish. She stood up and looked around frantically. Where? Si Yihan was speechless and continued. Did Han Xianyu believe your explanation? Yu Wanwan slapped her chest. Baby, don't take such long pauses when you talk, alright? You might scare me to death. Si Yihan. Or are you feeling guilty like a thief? Since when? Yu Wanwan scoffed and stomped over ferociously. Since when was I ever a thief? Since when did I steal? Since when was I guilty? You were mine from the start. As for Han Xianyu, I'm not sure whether he believed me or not. Chapter 865. Luo Chen had complete trust in her. He believed every word she said. No matter how unreasonable, he would choose to believe her. But Han Xianyu's thoughts were really hard to decipher. Forget it. Let's not think about it now. Lunch is more important. Where's my lovely lunch? A lunch packed by the great devil was extraordinary indeed. She was simply using her life to eat this lunch made with love. She suffered such a terrible shock today, so she had to thoroughly enjoy this lunch. When the luxurious three-tiered lunchbox was opened, Yu Wanwan's badly injured heart finally healed a little. The torment she went through today wasn't in vain. Yu Wanwan buried her head and focused on the feast before she noticed Si Yihan staring at her from her periphery. She blinked and looked up. What is it? Si Yihan looked at her for a while. Were you surprised? Yu Wanwan. Quite surprised, huh? How could I not be surprised? I'm so surprised that nearly half my life is gone. However, if that nerve-wracking incident hadn't happened, she really would have been quite surprised, and it felt like they were really in a romantic relationship. She recalled how she had to have a preliminary agreement before she could come out to work, and even disguises as a man to preserve her life. If Si Yihan would stop being jealous all the time, that would be perfect. Alright, she could only dream about that. Jealousy might be mere fun for others, but he had the potential to take someone's life because of it. After Yi Wanwan had her lunch, Si Han stood up and was about to leave. She wanted him to stay a while longer, but that incident happened, so she didn't dare force him to stay. Si Han pushed the door open to leave. When he reached the end of the hallway, he saw Han Xianyu standing there alone by the window. Han Xianyu made eye contact with him. Han Xianyu was instinctively on his guard, and his eyes constricted instantly. Si Han's gaze swept across him, then he strode away. Basement garage. Sui was anxiously waiting for a long time, and the moment he saw his master coming down, he hurriedly probed. Master, how was it? How was it? Was Miss Wanwan really happy? Si Han. Yes. Sui heaved a sigh of relief. That's great, that's great. Told you every girl loves surprises, Si Han. Your bonus this month is doubled. Sui was elated. Thank you, ninth master. Seems like Miss Wanwan wasn't just a little happy, huh? Next time, I have to give ninth master more ideas. I have to brainstorm carefully. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Yi Wanwan. Please come in. Upon seeing that it was Han Xianyu, Yi Wanwan's nerves tensed up a little, but nothing showed on her face, and she said naturally, Xianyu, take a seat. I already went to a few places for the film sites and confirmed 2 of them. One of them is Movie Town and the other is at a bar. There's also one more venue which is more troublesome. We might need, Han Xianyu. Yi Bai, you like men? Yi Wanwan. She was most afraid of, the air turning still all of a sudden. Han Xianyu's sudden question simply made Yi Wanwan stiffen up. Although it was a question, Han Xianyu used a very certain tone. Indeed, that sort of excuse was only able to deceive Luo Chen. Luo Chen was really pure while Han Xianyu just acted pure. He merely pretended to believe her earlier, so she wasn't forced into a difficult position. Yi Wanwan let out a long sigh and resigned herself to her fate. You found out. Judging by Han Xianyu's expression, it wasn't the first day he suspected this. When did you guess it? Yi Wanwan asked. What Yi Wanwan just said was equivalent to admitting it. Chapter 866. When? Was it when she clung onto that man when she was drunk, or that night when the gathering at the bar ended, and she left with that man? Or was it when she was trying to be discreet but she somehow forgot to close the door, and I saw everything? Or it might have even been earlier. When that man was slightly tipsy, he kissed Yi Bai right in front of me, and that was the start of his oath to sovereignty. They were both men, and Ninth C made it so obvious and intentional in front of Han Xianyu. It was impossible for him not to have suspected a thing. If you truly liked a person, you wouldn't be able to hide it. Seeing that Han Xianyu didn't have anything more to say, and it was such an awkward question, so Yi Wanwan obviously didn't probe further. She just said helplessly, Xianyu, sorry. I didn't mean to hide it from you. But you know it's quite hard to talk about this sort of thing even with one's closest friends, right? I understand. Han Xianyu nodded, then he asked, does Gong Su know about this? Yi Wanwan held her head. Gong Su found out by accident. That guy was fighting for my attention that day and nothing proper came out from his mouth. Ninth C was there that day too, and he was just running his mouth. Seeing that Ninth C was about to misunderstand my relationship with Gong Su, I could only take action right in front of Gong Su to prove my innocence. There was no point in hiding anymore. So Yi Wanwan simply went for the truth. Han Xianyu looked at her, puzzled. Are the 2 of you dating right now? Then what about that girlfriend you mentioned before? Yi Wanwan explained. Actually, I was referring to him. The girlfriend thing was just a cover, especially for that Luo Chen. He's a little sensitive about such issues, and I was afraid I might scare him, so I kept it a secret. Oh right, you have to help me keep this a secret. Don't blurt it out accidentally and let him find out about it. Han Xianyu raised his brows and looked at her. You're worried about scaring Luo Chen? Then what about me? Yi Wanwan choked a little. Han Xianyu chuckled. All right, I won't tease you anymore. As your friend, I obviously respect your choice, and it's your freedom whether you like men or women. You're not causing trouble for others anyway. And this isn't something shameful. Yi Wanwan was really touched when she heard this. No wonder Han Xianyu's fans always called him Little Angel. Han Xianyu was simply too kind and understanding. Han Xianyu's face turned slightly gloomy as he then said, but there's something I think you ought to know. Yuan had a bad feeling about this. What is it? Han Xianyu considered his words carefully, then said, one time, Xinjia and I bumped into Ninth C when we went to watch a movie and we saw that he was with a girl. At that time, I didn't see how the girl looked like, but the two of them were very intimate. Did you know about this? I totally forgot about this. That time, she asked Ziyi Han out to catch a movie together, but in the end, they saw Han Xianyu and Xiao Kuexian at the theater. Han Xianyu and Xiao Kuexian were startled by the couple behind them, so they suddenly turned back, and in order to block her face, Ziyi Han kissed her. Han Xianyu saw the entire thing, and although he didn't see her, he definitely recognized Ziyi Han. Haha, if I said that, your bro is that woman, would you believe me? Yuan sighed. And that actually he was turned gay by me. Before we knew each other we both liked girls, so we aren't really considered gays, but the people we like now just happen to be guys. Han Xianyu, he turned him gay. Chapter 867. That night, Gong Su asked a bunch of his scoundrel friends out to the bar to get drunk. I'll be a single dog forever, single and lonely. When the nights are dark and quiet, does anyone hear my cries? Gong Su hugged the microphone and howled emotionally. He didn't expect he would be so pathetic that even two men together could abuse him. That's enough. Are the lyrics really like that? Tang Xinghua nearly spat out the alcohol in his mouth from Gong Su's terrific singing. He draped his arm around Gong Su's shoulder and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Dog balls Gong, you're actually still single? Is that candied plum or candied sweet really so attractive? Don't you dare insult my little candied plum. Gong Su immediately glared at him like a wolf cub protecting its food. Iron Pillar Tang, do you know what I truly desire in my life? Tang Xinghua raised his brows. What is it? Gong Su. What I can't have. Black lines covered Tang Xinghua's head. You're just despicable. You just want the thrill. Gong Su groaned. What do you know, huh? What's the point if it's so simple? Your big bro likes the adrenaline. Tang Xinghua. Hope you die from the adrenaline someday. After she returned home that evening, Yuan complained lethargically. It's all your fault for wanting me to dress up as a man. I'm on the verge of going crazy. Ziyi Han took a casual glance at her. Aren't you the one who came up with this? Yuan blinked. It seems like I was. But that's because you set those unreasonable rules like, no attracting the opposite sex, and with my looks, it's almost impossible to do that. Yuan whined. It's not a solution for me to keep lying, right? Previously, she came up with this idea so she could leave Jean Garden to work, and also because she was a part of the Yi family. Under those circumstances, if she went to see Chu Hongguang, that sly old fox wouldn't believe her so easily. It was so much more convenient for her to disguise as a man. So externally, using this identity as Yi Bai was quite advantageous for her, but internally, she interacted a lot with Gong Su, Luo Chun and Han Xianyu usually, and incidents like today would definitely happen again in the future. If Han Xianyu and Luo Chun knew her real identity, it wouldn't be a huge issue since these two people were more reliable and wouldn't run their mouths. They weren't the sorts of guys who would want to pounce on any pretty girl that came their way, eliminating the amount of potential jealousy. The real troublesome one was Gong Su. That night, outside her apartment block, she was still in her male disguise and Gong Su was already about to make Ziyi Han explode. Initially, she thought Gong Su merely had short-lived enthusiasm and wouldn't last long. Who knew he wouldn't give up after so long? If he found out she was little candied plum, that image. Tisk. Hence, Yuan concluded Gong Su was the key target she had to guard against. The next morning, Mo Xian came to Jean Garden to do a checkup on Ziyi Han. Before he left, Yuan called him to the side to speak to him alone. Dr. Mo, how's Audiobook right now? Yuan asked. She could see the improvement in his health, but she couldn't really tell his psychological state. Mo Xian looked at Yuan with an expression that was hard to read. He sighed helplessly and said, Miss Yi, my only job right now is to do a checkup on him once every month, and even at this frequency, I'm still being cold-shouldered and chased away within 5 minutes. Currently, I'm on the verge of losing my job, so what do you think? Chapter 868 Yuan. Alright. So what you mean is that he's already recovered and is just like an ordinary person now. Emotion shrugged. Seems like it at the moment. Emotion paused and stared thoughtfully. Of course, that's based on the premise you remain by his side. To him, you are the point of equilibrium in his life, and if there are any issues on your end, the equilibrium would be broken and nobody can determine what would happen. You know very well what he was like in the past when you hated him and repelled him. He didn't have rational thoughts or the ability to control his emotions like normal people, and was just like an uncontrollable beast. Truthfully speaking, I didn't even believe he could actually act like a normal human being. Yuan was speechless and mumbled. What do you mean by a normal human being? He is a human being. Emotion smiled and looked at her. Did you know that Sui, 11 and all the servants in the old residence all made talismans for themselves? Huh. What talisman? Yuan was confused. Emotion replied. On the talisman, it says, Hope Miss Wan and Ninth Master can be as sweet as honey and everything would go smoothly for them. Yuan. Emotion. As long as the two of you are good, our days will be clear. So Miss Wan, all of our little lives are in your hands. Yuan. Is it that scary? Emotion sighed. Miss Yi, I'm not exaggerating. Ever since Ninth Master hired me to carry out his hypnosis treatment, I've been monitoring his condition very closely. Although I don't know why he's so strongly attracted to you. I think that when a person cares so much for another person to the point where he reaches an abnormal state, he must really, really love that person. Miss Yi, did you forget about what happened in the past or something? Emotion had been wanting to ask this question for a very long time. If Yuan hadn't had any relationship with Si Yi-han before, the attitude Si Yi-han had toward Yuan now wouldn't really make much sense. When Yuan heard that, she said, Did I lose my memory? I don't think so. I definitely would have remembered if I met someone like Si Yi-han before. That's true. Emotion was in deep thought. He seemed to have recalled something but didn't say anything else. After the roughest period in setting up her own business, Yuan could finally start to relax a little. Yi Mufan dealt with the daily tasks right now and Fei Yong was currently the director of talent recruitment. Everything was up to speed, and life was stable and fulfilling. This was something she never dared to dream of in her life. Jean Garden, discussion room. During the monthly family clan meeting, the Si family's elders were all present and Si Yi-han was seated on the sofa in the middle, while Yuan sat on his left, the seat that belonged to the mistress of the household. Si Mingli and Feng Yiping had a straight face throughout the meeting. Since they were treated so harshly by Yuan last time, they didn't dare to make things difficult for her again. Furthermore, with Si Yi-han by her side, they couldn't do a thing and could only watch as Yuan's status became more and more secure. They already hated her to the core. The old madam looked kindly at Yuan and said, Wan, Mr. Mu will be arriving next month. When the time comes, you should go together with Audiobook to greet him. Yuan replied obediently, Yes, Grandma. Si Mingli's expression changed and he couldn't hold it in anymore. Mr. Mu is such an important guest. How could we let her tag along with Master? She's a young brat that doesn't know a thing. What if she embarrasses the entire Si family? Chapter 869. Feng Yiping hurriedly chimed in. Old madam, the Mu family is an extremely important partner of Si Corporation. We should arrange a more experienced partner to go with Master. Although Feng Yiping didn't mention her name, he was obviously referring to Qin Ruoxi. The old madam glanced at the two of them. In previous years, Audiobook went by himself and it went well, right? In the past he didn't have her but now he did, so how could it be the same? If Si Yi-han brought a female partner along for such an event, the meaning would be completely different. Si Mingli quickly said, Sis, Master went by himself in the past so obviously there weren't any issues. I'm just worried that someone won't know her manners and treat our distinguished guest rudely. Anyway, Miss Yi is dating Master at the moment, but she's merely his girlfriend. I don't think she is qualified to receive such an important guest with our Master yet. The old madam obviously knew what Feng Yiping and Si Mingli were thinking, but lately, she had seen for herself how much effort Yuan put in for Audiobook and she took great care of him. She was also a keen learner and wanted to improve herself, becoming more dependable. The old madam supported her intentionally. The old madam turned to her grandson. Ajio, what do you think? Si Yi-han, who was resting with his eyes shut, opened his eyes and didn't respond. Instead, he turned to the girl next to him. Do you want to go? Yi Wanwan. What the hell is with this question? If I go, that's fine, and if I don't, that's fine as well. As expected, when Si Mingli and Feng Yiping saw Si Yi-han acting like that, their faces contorted in anger. The old madam shook her head helplessly and glanced at her grandson. Then she said directly to Si Mingli and the others, all right, it's still early now. Wanwan still has time to learn if she doesn't know the protocol. It's not a big deal anyway. This matter is dealt with. Old madam, Si Mingli wanted to continue. But too bad. The old madam and Si Yi-han were firm on this, and there was no place for him to speak. Si Mingli sat there with his gloomy expression. His skinny face was twitching. Darn it. It's been so long. Why isn't this Lu dead yet? Didn't they say he wouldn't live more than 6 months? It's almost over 6 months already. Ever since he received news that Si Yi-han was dying, he suppressed himself and waited day by day. He was waiting for the day Si Yi-han died, but who could have known that the disease hadn't attacked his vitals, and as a result, Si Yi-han was getting better each day instead. As long as this bastard was alive, he would have to live like a dog in the Si family, and continue to be submissive. Also, he hadn't taken revenge on this bloody bitch Yi Wanwan for crippling one of his son's legs, and he could only suppress his anger. He couldn't even touch a single strand of her hair. The old madam said to Si Yi-han, Ajio, I'll hire a teacher to train her on the etiquette, all right? Si Yi-han, no need. The old madam said sternly, this is necessary. It's good for Yi Wanwan to learn more, and she will use these skills in the future. Si Yi-han replied, no need for a teacher. I'll train her myself. Yi Wanwan, you're trying to stuff old madam with dog food too. Ha! That's enough, eh? This child. The old madam laughed. She felt relieved, seeing how the two children were getting along well. If Ajio's health could get better. Meeting adjourned. After they were done with the meeting, Si Yi-han looked at the time on his watch and announced the end of the meeting. Si Yi-han listened to the old madam while he stood up, but the second he stood up, his face turned pale and his body stiffened. Ajio, what is it? When they noticed that Si Yi-han was acting differently, the old madam and Yi Wanwan looked at him at the same time. Si Yi-han raised his arm like he wanted to say that he was fine, but when he was about to speak, he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and his face turned paler. After that, there was a resounding bang as he fell backward. You master. Yi Wanwan's eyes constricted. The old madam and all the elders present were in shock, and the place was in chaos. Chapter 870. Nobody expected Si Yi-han would spit out blood and faint all of a sudden. Even Si Mingli and Feng Yiping were stunned. Master! Master! Doctor! Where's the doctor? Get Doctor's son right away. All the elders at the scene were in a panic and surrounded Si Yi-han. Move. Don't crowd him. Yi Wanwan snapped, then helped Si Yi-han sit up steadily with her delicate body. Ajio. My Ajio. What is happening? Hurry and get the doctor. The old madam was completely out of her wits. She was on the verge of collapsing and almost fainted with him. Yi Wanwan instructed the maids to take care of old madam while she helped Si Yi-han to the bed and checked his heartbeat and pulse. Grandma, don't worry. Dr. Mo and Dr. Sun did a full body checkup for Ajio a few days ago. There shouldn't be any major issues. Before the old madam could speak, seemingly jumped in like an arrow. Rubbish. He just spat out blood and you said it's not serious? What's serious to you then? Before, Dr. Sun already said Master wouldn't live more than 6 months and could get an attack anytime. Once there's an attack, it could endanger his life, but you stopped him from getting the surgery and kept boasting that you could help Master recuperate. I wonder what evil intentions you have. Is the so-called recuperation you mentioned before? Feng Yiping sighed within the crowd. We tried so hard to convince Master to go for the surgery and quickly transplant the organs, but Master lost his mind to this woman. He refused to listen to anything we said. Great, now things are like this. The other elders looked coldly at Yuanwan. What should we do now? Hurry up. Tell the servants to contain the news. Don't let outsiders know about this. Otherwise, the entire family would be in chaos. The Xi family could be destroyed from this woman's hands. Yuanwan didn't care about the people jabbering on and on. She was focused on monitoring Xi Yihan's condition. Lately, she learned a little from Dr. Sun and knew the 4 ways of diagnosis. Look, listen, question and feel the pulse. Furthermore, she had been by Xi Yihan's side these past few days while the 2 doctors checked on him, and his condition was extremely stable. For Xi Yihan to get poisoned and whatnot, that was impossible. His diet was strictly controlled, no less than nobles in ancient times, and those people wouldn't have the guts to do this sort of thing anyway. Actually, from a medical perspective, vomiting blood might not be an entirely bad thing, maybe. Xi Mingli put on a heartbroken expression and looked at old Madam and Xi Mingrong. Sis, second brother, do you guys see this girl's true colors now? Xi Mingrong never liked Yuanwan from the beginning, but lately, he noticed that Xi Yihan's health was improving, so his attitude towards her improved slightly. When he saw this scene, he couldn't take it any longer and ordered her sternly, Miss Yi, please leave. Yuanwan tightened her fingers around Xi Yihan's cold fingers. At this moment, a servant's voice came from the door. Dr. Sun is here. Dr. Sun is here. With Dr. Sun around, she didn't have a reason to be there anymore, and the most pressing issue right now was getting Sun Bai Chao to check up on Xi Yihan. Yuanwan slowly released Xi Yihan's fingers and stood up to make way for Sun Bai Chao. Chapter 871. In order for Sun Bai Chao to focus on making a diagnosis, everyone left the room aside from the old madam and Xi Mingrong. Outside, a group of people were nervously waiting for the results. Time went by slowly, and the elders were pacing around anxiously. Yuanwan didn't say a word and leaned against the ice-cold wall. Xi Mingli was glowing at this moment. He sneered and looked at Yuanwan. Master is in this state thanks to your stupidity and ignorance. Are you happy now? Feng Yiping had a look of mockery. Too bad Master is muddled and old Madam is soft-hearted. If Master believed Miss Ruoxi then, this wouldn't have happened at all. This is truly unfortunate. I already said before that if this woman became the mistress of the household, we'd have a major crisis sooner or later. Look at the way things are right now. She hasn't even gotten the status yet, but she already caused so much trouble for the Xi family. The other elders were panicking. What should we do now? Nothing can happen to the family head. Xi Mingli scoffed. How could nothing happen? The old disease and damaged organs are like a ticking time bomb inside Master. It can explode anytime, and once it does, that would be life-threatening. By then, it would be too late. I think this time, everything looks bad for Master. With Xi Mingli and Feng Yiping's provocation, the way the elders looked at Yuanwan turned uglier by the second. If anything happens to Master, don't dream of leaving the Xi family alive. I wonder what motives this woman has. We must investigate thoroughly. That's right. Yuanwan massaged her swollen and painful temples. Her cold glance brushed across those people and she said, "Shut up." It was like she was glaring at the dead, causing one to feel a chill down one's spine. The elders kept quiet for a few seconds then roared in anger. This woman won't shed a tear till she sees the coffin, huh? How could she still be so arrogant? This is too much. Squeak. The door opened and Sun Bai Chao finally came out of the room. Dr. Sun, how are things? How's the family head? Is he in danger? The elders all went up to Dr. Sun, and Yuanwan looked at Sun Bai Chao as well. Sun Bai Chao spoke with a grave expression. I can't confirm the cause right now. We have to move him to the hospital immediately to do a thorough checkup. Please stay calm right now. Xi Mingli said harshly, Sis, how should we deal with this woman? If it wasn't for her, Master wouldn't be in this state right now. I have every reason to suspect that she has ulterior motives and might even be plotting his murder. The old madam narrowed her eyes. She looked tired and trembled as she spoke. Wait till Audiobook is awake and we'll discuss. The old madam was only thinking of her grandson at this moment. She wasn't in the mood to care about anything else. Si Mingli was upset when he heard that, and he glared at Yuanwan. HNG, wait till he's awake? I'm afraid he won't ever wake up again. This time, I'll make sure this woman dies a tragic death. And the entire Si family will be mine very soon. Soon, Si Yihan was sent to a private hospital in the suburbs of Beijing. After Si Yihan was sent over, martial law was imposed and nobody was allowed to go near him. Even Yi Wanwan wasn't allowed into the ward and could only wait in the hall. Yi Wanwan sat in the large, empty hall in silence, and in the blink of an eye, it was midnight. Yi Wanwan's expression was icy cold as she tried her best to straighten out the details of Si Yihan's current condition in her head. Chapter 872. Yi Wanwan was very careful with everything lately and acted according to Sun Baichao's instructions. She was confident there shouldn't be any problems with Si Yihan's health, but before the results were out, nobody knew what would happen. Could it be that I still failed to change the course of fate? Or something went wrong somewhere? If something really happens to Si Yihan? Yi Wanwan's head was filled with messy thoughts. This man is paranoid, violent, possessive, and is so scary that it's almost pathological. Everyone says he has no humanity. Everyone fears him like the plague. However, when Yi Wanwan tried to understand him, she realized that he wasn't covered in thorns and had an entirely different kind of softness. He was obviously a terrifying tyrant, but he simply compromised with just some sweet talk or a hug from her. When she dressed ugly and in an exaggerated manner, everyone looked at her with disgust, but he said she was still as delicious. When everyone questioned her qualifications, only he asked her if she still wanted to go. He silently laid a good path for her. He took her to that frightful attic in her memory, only to give her his most important token. After she was reborn, she encountered a completely different Si Yihan. In the past, she hated him clearly. She hated him so much that she couldn't wait for his death. Now she was sitting here, afraid he would die. In the early morning, Su Yi and his father, Su Changkuan, walked down from the top floor. Yi Wanwan looked at the two people. What's the situation? Upon seeing that Yi Wanwan was still there, Su Changkuan hurriedly said, Miss Wanwan, it's late. Why are you still here? Go back and get some rest. Su Yi was very worried. Yeah, it's useless even if you stay here the whole day. We're not doctors, and if you fall ill, how am I going to explain that to Ninth Master when he wakes up? The old madam already fainted. You can't break down too. When he wakes up. Listening to Su Yi's words, Yi Wanwan blanked out all of a sudden. She took a deep breath and nodded. All right, got it. I'll have to trouble the two of you here to take good care of Grandma. If you have any news, please notify me at once. Su Yi. You can rest assured, Miss Yi. After Su Yi and Su Changkuan urged her to leave, Yi Wanwan exited the hospital building. A gust of the evening wind blew at her, causing her to shiver. Hey, Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan was walking along the road when a black car, that seemed to have waited a long time, silently stopped. The window lowered, revealing a long-lost face. Yi Wanwan was surprised. Xixia. Xixia stopped the car and beckoned her with his eyes. Get in the car. Seeing that Yi Wanwan still wasn't moving, Xixia's brows furrowed slightly. I have something to tell you. It has something to do with Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan looked at him and opened the passenger door. The car drove steadily on the road. Yi Wanwan closed her eyes and didn't speak at all. And she didn't ask where they were going either. Xixia looked at her from the rearview mirror with a complex look. After a while, the two of them sat down in a restaurant booth. Xixia took out a thick file from behind him and pushed it over to her. All she saw was a new ID, passport, flight ticket, and a check. Yi Wanwan looked at him blankly. What's the meaning of these? There was a flash of anger in Xixia's brows. Yi Wanwan, are you feigning ignorance at a time like this? Do you have any clue what's going on or not? Once Si Yihan dies, do you think those people in the Si family will let you off? Or do you really think Grandma can keep you safe? Chapter 873. Xixia had been watching from the sidelines for a very long time, and thought Yi Wanwan saw things clearly for herself, but he hadn't expected she would still be persisting on the wrong path. Xixia warned her sternly, Let's not talk about Qin Ruoshi's henchman yet. You crippled one of Cejia's legs, so Si Mingli wants your life for sure. You have to leave before tomorrow. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to leave even if you wanted to. Yi Wanwan glanced at the things on the table. These things took days to prepare, yet Xia actually delivered these things the moment something happened to Si Yihan. This meant he'd always been prepared for this. No one believed someone like her, who had no comprehension of medicine, could cure Si Yihan. Si Mingli and Feng Yiping held those beliefs, and so did Xia. Thank you, nephew. I didn't think you'd be so filial. Yi Wanwan smiled, then the smile disappeared as she adopted an indifferent expression. But there's no need for this. Xia immediately stood up. Yi Wanwan, are you an idiot? Yi Wanwan grinned. Don't be mad. You don't look handsome when you're angry. Upon hearing this familiar tone, Xia went blank. Xia was so enraged by her indifference and her tone as she sounded like she was trying to coax a child. Even if that man erased your existence, he'd want to imprison you and keep him by his side. Do you think he really loves you? Your stupidity will be the death of you someday. Yi Wanwan chuckled. I think I'll be smitten to death instead? Such naughty activities can lead to bitter consequences. But what did he mean by erasing my existence? Xia pounded the table. The two of them were caught in silence. The air was stagnant. Suddenly, Xia stood up and charged towards her as fast as lightning, attacking her. Although Yi Wanwan was distracted, her body responded instinctively and evaded his attack. If she got hit by him just now, she would have been knocked out. It didn't make any sense. Did he intend to knock her out and take her away by force? Before Yi Wanwan could react, Xia continued to attack. Soon, the two of them exchanged over 100 blows, and Yi Wanwan was quite surprised. She didn't expect Xia to be so skilled. In the end, the two of them were panting. Xia fixed his collar. He stared darkly at her, then sneered. 100 moves. You can't even strike me after 100 moves. You're useless. Xia then forcefully shoved the things on the table into her hands and strode away. You better think carefully. Yi Wanwan looked at the things in her hands and looked at Xia leaving in a huff. She was utterly confused. Xia was very skilled, and for her to be able to take 100 strikes from him, shouldn't she be considered quite powerful? Almost all of Si family's dark team guards were surprised after finding out about her skills, but Xia said she was useless? What's this kid's logic? Deep into the night, Yi Wanwan returned to Jin Garden. There wasn't a sound in the huge garden. It was completely dead. Yi Wanwan walked over to Si Yihan's room and prepared some clothes to change into. Then she took the things Xia prepared for her and sat on the balcony. Xia prepared everything she needed. A new identity, new address, and there would be someone to pick her up when she arrived. If she really left, it would be a new beginning. If this was before her rebirth, she definitely would have been overjoyed by this precious opportunity to gain her freedom. But right now, right here, she was no longer alone. She had more connections, family, friends, and... Finally, the lighter ignited and those items turned into a blaze in the night, disintegrating into ashes. Chapter 874. Tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. At the little house of Rose, the 5-man mercenary group was huddled together, worrying. I see Yihan is dying from his illness. Our master is going to be upset. That might not be the case. Although master has feelings toward him, there are still millions of other beauties even if this beauty died, right? The main point is that if Si Yihan died, wouldn't we have to relocate? After all, the master is staying here because of him. Maybe. I really can't bear to leave this place. Look at the beautiful flowers I trimmed. It's been so long since I've been so comfortable. Jiao Jiao doesn't want to leave either. Qin residence. Qin Ruoshi's father, Qin Feng, rushed back from abroad that very night. Father. How are things now? There's no news at the moment, but judging from the current situation, things look bad. Before, Sun Bai Chao already predicted Si Yihan wouldn't last 6 months. Now, it's estimated that he's probably at the end of his life. The improvements in his health we saw earlier was probably the final radiance from the setting sun. HNG, that guy is too blind. If he chose to marry you, he would have a couple more years to live. Until things are confirmed, don't make a move yet. There are numerous people who will deal with that woman for you, Qin Feng said sternly. Yes, father. Qin Ruoxi's eyes were ice cold. Since I can't get him, I'll just destroy him. The next day, Beijing Suburban Hospital. All the elders were waiting anxiously outside the ward for the results. Xi Mingli scanned around then asked intentionally, "Where's that woman?" Feng Yiping mocked. "I don't know. I didn't see her at all since last night. Could it be that she dreaded the punishment and ditched town? We shouldn't have let her leave yesterday." The elders were fuming as they heard a pair of footsteps from the walkway. Compared to the fair Qin Ruoxi, Yuanwan was wearing a bright red dress and had delicate makeup on. She walked over slowly and wasn't panicking at all like they imagined, not to mention looking guilty or dreading punishment. Seeing how Yuanwan was acting, Feng Yiping showed a look of disgust. Life and death is uncertain for master. Yet she dared to show up wearing such a garish dress? Such indecency. Xi Mingrong, who hadn't spoken yet, looked at Yuanwan with an ugly expression, and just as he was about to speak, Sun Bai Chao and a group of professionals came out of the ward. Xi Mingrong. "Doctor, how's our master's condition?" Everyone hurriedly stepped forward. Xi Mingli didn't even have time to worry about Yuanwan as he stared at Sun Bai Chao with anticipation on his face. "The patient is in a coma right now. His breathing is shallow and his condition isn't very optimistic. We're still investigating the cause. Prepare for the worst, and prepare what needs to be done." One of the professionals reminded them euphemistically. This was almost akin to dealing out the death penalty and preparing for death. After hearing this, everyone exploded. Xi Mingli roared immediately, "Guards, grab this woman. Lock her up. I want to interrogate her." Suddenly, two tall and ferocious guards walked towards Yuanwan. Looking at Xi Mingli without the slightest trace of warmth on her face, Yuanwan said, "Xi Mingli." Xi Mingli raised his brows. "What's wrong? Does our future mistress of the household have something to say?" With a blank expression, Yuanwan replied, "The final outcome of master's checkup isn't out. Yet fourth uncle is already eagerly trying to incite rumors and take the law into your own hands, using the public to avenge personal grievances. If I'm proven to be innocent, I wonder what would happen to fourth uncle, huh?" Xi Mingli was fearless. He instantly burst out in laughter. "Ha ha ha, you're innocent? At a time like this, you still dare to brag, huh? Not unless she's able to get Si Yihan to rise from the dead and jump out of the bed now. She's actually thinking of getting off the hook? What a joke." Xi Mingli sneered. "If you're innocent, I, Xi Mingli, will bear all the consequences." Chapter 875. Yuanwan glanced at Xi Mingrong and the group of elders. "Second uncle and all the elders present here, I hope all of you can bear witness to what fourth uncle just said." All the elders had a darkened expression and a look of disdain. They disapproved of Yuanwan's quibbling too. Xi Mingrong looked at the mess the Xi family was facing right now and felt regret. He shouldn't have allowed the master to do whatever he wanted. If they dealt with this woman earlier on, things wouldn't be in this state today. If they completed the organ transplant that time, the master would have had at least a few more years to live. After speaking, Xi Mingli walked to Xi Mingrong's side and said respectfully, "Second brother, sis isn't feeling well right now and you have to take care of the hospital matters. Just let me deal with such a small matter. I'll make sure to do a thorough check on this woman." Xi Mingrong glanced at Xi Mingli and didn't speak. This was equivalent to silent approval of Xi Mingli's suggestion. Seeing as Xi Mingrong didn't disagree, Su Chongkuan stood up instantly. Although Miss Wanwan disagreed to the operation, she only did it for the sake of master's health and nobody expected things would turn out this way. How could we simply accuse Miss Wanwan of premeditated murder just like that? Furthermore, master hasn't. Su Chongkuan. Xi Mingli sneered and interrupted him. "How could you say something so despicable just because this woman saved your son Bior, huh?" Su Chongkuan. "I'm merely stating the facts. The fact is that she charmed our master and plotted against his life, causing an uproar in the Xi family. This woman has committed crimes against the Xi family. How could you defend a criminal? Si Mingli. Yi Wanwan took a step forward and pulled back the enraged Su Changkuan. She glanced disapprovingly at Si Mingli, who was beaming, and said plainly, I can go to prison, but I hope by then fourth uncle wouldn't beg me to come out. Ha 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 ha, that's ridiculous. Si Mingli sneered coldly. Miss Yi, with these charges, you couldn't ever dream of getting out. Take her away. Yes. A couple well-trained and highly skilled bodyguards stepped forward and surrounded Yi Wanwan, taking her away. Seeing that this woman had finally landed in his hands, Si Mingli felt invigorated and all his worries were swept away. Bitch, it's really naive of you to think you can leave the Si family's prison alive. With Si Yihan's current condition, he could pass away anytime, and all the elders were waiting in the ward. They didn't dare to leave at all. Si Mingli already volunteered to make funeral preparations in advance. Si family's prison. The moment Yi Wanwan stepped inside, a chill went up her spine. There was a bloody scent lingering in the air, mixed with something musty and the smell of rusty metals. It was extremely nauseating. Horrifying screams came from the depths of the passageway. Yi Wanwan had long heard of this place. The people locked up here were all traitors of the family clan, and included moles secretly planted by their enemies. It was the darkest place in the Si family's territory. She had been very timid since she was little, and she was afraid of blood. If this was the past, she would have probably been scared to death if witnessed such a gruesome and bloody scene. However, probably because she had gone through a lot, she didn't feel so disturbed at the moment. The two people who escorted her there were Si Mingli's confidants. Seeing how Yi Wanwan was in a daze, they simply thought she was scared out of her wits. One of them spoke in a threatening tone, since you had the guts to plot against the family head, you'll end up like these people. Chapter 876. The moment he said that, a resounding hiss came from the corner of the dim room. A soldering iron was imprinted on the man's chest, causing him to emit an ear-piercing sound as he convulsed on the floor and howled in agony. When Yi Wanwan saw this, the corners of her lips twitched. What era are we in right now? You guys are still using such an old-fashioned method of torture? Sure enough, it perfectly suited Si Mingrong's old-fashioned style. She wasn't sure why, but there were many familiar yet foreign images appearing in her head all of a sudden. Yi Wanwan looked at the two guards by her side and said disdainfully, this sort of torture only works on small fish and prawns. For real, professionally trained guards and Secret Service agents, these minor superficial wounds are nothing to them. You're actually counting on this to pry open their mouths? The two guards. They planned on scaring Yi Wanwan, and even thought she would scream out of fear and cry her guts out. They didn't realize that not only would she be so calm and casual like she was strolling in her own garden, but she would actually criticize the way they conducted interrogations. Yi Wanwan. Hey, do you guys have any idea what mental torture is? Do you guys need me to teach you? It's a special method that destroys a person's willpower. It's much better than the two guards listening to Yi Wanwan's unceasing torrent. Alas, the two people took her to her cell and left swiftly. It was as if there was a monster chasing them. Why are they gone? I'm not finished yet. Yi Wanwan leaned on the metal bars and looked regretful. Seeing that the two of them were gone without a trace, Yi Wanwan could only squat down with her chin in hand as she revealed a suspicion look. Weird, how did I know about all that stuff I said just now? Could it be that I read it in some magazine? Why don't I have any memory of it? However, she had lived through 2 lives before and had twice the memories, so it was perfectly normal for her to be confused or forget some things. In the Age of the Immortals conference room, a few of them were discussing the script. Whoa, super big news. The little gossip king, Gong Su, rushed into the office the moment he arrived. Gong Su, you're late again. Yi Mufan rolled his eyes at him. What news? Are you coming out of the closet? Or are you announcing your marriage? Who's coming out, huh? You're the one who's coming out of the closet. Gong Su glared at Yi Mufan, then held his phone and said excitedly, it's the Si family, that legendary Si family. What's with the Si family? Han Xianyu asked. Gong Su. It was on the news that the master of the Si family died of illness. It just happened this morning. Yi Mufan was taken aback. What? The master of the Xi family died of illness? How's that possible? The Xi family. Everyone's impression of them was that they were the influential aristocratic family in China, who were extremely out of reach. They built a huge business empire in China, and Xi Yihan was the king of the empire, who steered the entire Xi family. If he died, the entire building would collapse, causing the economy of the country to fall into turmoil. Han Xianyu said, "Probably just rumors. Which publication dares to talk bad about the Xi family?" Gong Su. Yes, nobody dared to, and this news was published only for 5 minutes before it was deleted, but I took a screenshot. Yi Mu Fan. How gossipy can he get? It was published only for 5 minutes. Yet he read it, and was able to take a screenshot of it. Luo Chen, who was focused on reading his script, lifted his head and asked, "Where's Yi Ji? He's not here yet?" Yi Mu Fan shrugged. "We don't have to wait for him today. He just sent me a message and said he'll be busy these next 2 days. Chapter 877. Outside the ward. Su Chongquan had a grave expression. "We must quickly think of a way. It's way too dangerous for Miss Wanwan to be taken away by Si Mingli's people like that. But the old madam is ill, and now that the entire Si family is under the control of the elders, our actions are being monitored closely as well." When Sui heard that, he looked at his father and was hesitant to speak. Ever since Dr. Sun said he had 6 months left to live, Ninth Master had been preparing for his own death, and already expected something like this would happen. He assumed there was only one outcome, that Miss Wanwan herself wouldn't be willing to leave. Damn it. Why did things have to turn out this way? Ninth Master's health was already improving. In the ward, Dr. Sun closed his eyes and focused on taking Si Yihan's pulse. "Let's wait a little more." The chief specialist, who was wearing a white coat, looked proud as he spoke with an affirmative tone. "Old son, although you're the top expert in Chinese medicine, there's no doubt about Si Yihan's condition. We should inform them immediately. Otherwise, they might not even be able to see him one last time." When faced with the expert's questioning, Dr. Sun was indifferent. He refuted. With pent-up troubles, he would naturally have poor qi and blood flow. The blood caused a blockage at the bottom of his heart for many years. After Ninth Master spat out blood, although his body was extremely weak, and it seemed like his life was on the line, the fact is that his channels are cleared now. Right now, he's only in a deep sleep and needs some time to recover. When the chief specialist heard Dr. Sun, he gave a look of disdain. "Old son, all this is just your assumptions. But what I have are Si Yihan's stats, which tells me he won't be able to last even half a day." Previously, he strongly advocated for the surgery, but in the end, Sun Baichao chose to let that woman give it a try. Sun Baichao's words held more weight than his. The old madam and master trusted him more, and now that things had turned out this way, he was very convinced of his own judgment. The other doctors pretty much shared the same sentiments as well. "He's at his last breath already. How's this considered sleeping?" Cough. Just as Dr. Sun and the group of experts were discussing Si Yihan's condition, a very light cough was heard in the ward. All the experts and doctors turned to the hospital bed instantly. All they saw was the guy, who was given the death sentence, opening his eyes slowly. His gaze wasn't murky and lifeless like someone who was dying. Instead, it was clear and bright. "Z. Mr. C." At the same time, the experts were stunned to see that on the monitor, it showed that all of Si Yihan's vital signs had started to recover. On the hospital bed, Si Yihan felt as if he had walked on a very, very long road. After he woke up, he felt good. His entire body had never felt so good. His gaze swept across the area slowly and finally, it stopped at the sun rays that were peeping through the gaps of the leaves outside the window. He thought the end of the road would be the end of him and hadn't expected that. He wasn't dead. Wanwan, all the arrangements are already in order. At this moment, she should have already left. The experts were in a mess. QQQ quick. Go tell the elders. Outside the ward, Si Mingli, who had left to prepare for Si Yihan's funeral at the funeral hall, rushed back quickly and said to Si Mingrong, "Second brother, I already prepared everything. Everything is in order." Si Mingrong nodded lethargically. All right. There seemed to be some noise coming from the ward, then the door was pushed open with the experts pouring out. When he saw the chief specialist, who had told them to prepare for a funeral, hanging his head low, beads of cold sweat started forming on his face. Everybody's hearts sank when they saw the specialist's expression. Could it be that Master has passed away? Chapter 878. Su Yi's body trembled slightly. Ninth Master. Ximing Rong looked devastated. Is there any way Master could speak a few words to us? Si Han had fallen ill too suddenly, and he hadn't even left any words behind. While appearing sad, Ximing patted Ximing Rong's shoulder. Second brother, my deepest sympathies. It's already quite a feat that Master was able to hang on till now. The Si family still has us. When the chief specialist heard his words, his expression became even uglier. He glanced at Si Mingli with an indescribable expression and coughed lightly. Mr. Si is awake. Ximing Rong was overjoyed all of a sudden. What? Awake? Yes, Mr. Si. The specialist wasn't able to complete his sentence. Si Mingli was stunned. He thought it was just a momentary recovery of consciousness before his death. Si Mingli quickly interrupted the specialist and said urgently, Let's go inside then. Hurry and check if Sis is awake and bring her over. Otherwise, I'm afraid she might not be able to see him for the last time. Yes. The guards by the side sprinted off to get the old madam. Specialist, forget it, they'll figure it out when they get in. Hence, the group of elders hurriedly followed behind the specialist and entered the ward. Si Mingli had already mentally prepared himself. The moment he stepped inside, his eyes turned red, and he shot towards the hospital bed like an arrow. Then he knelt on the floor. Master! Master! Don't worry about us. Just go. In the next second, halfway through his cries, that fake mournful expression stiffened on his face like ice. All he saw was a white hospital bed with nobody lying on it. Instead, he found a pair of long straight legs appearing before him. Si Mingli's back froze and his gaze slowly shifted upwards as a fear he had never felt before swept over him. Why is fourth uncle being so ceremonious suddenly? Si Han straightened his sleeves as he looked down condescendingly at Si Mingli, who was at his feet. Si Han, who was supposed to be lying on his deathbed, had already changed out of his hospital attire, and was wearing a tailor-made suit Yi Wanwan gave him. He even had a dark-colored rose embroidered on the pocket of his chest, and with his charming face, it looked even more eye-catching. At the moment, he was standing against the light from the window, and was arranging his cuffs casually. He didn't look like he was about to die at all. Instead, he looked radiant with an icy gaze. Si Mingli's eyes constricted to its limits. He was so frightened that he took 2 steps back like he had just seen a ghost. You. Not only Si Mingli, but Ximing Rong and the other elders were completely taken aback like they were looking at a real ghost. Then Sun Bai Chao explained, Congratulations. Ninth Master is in good health now. The blood he spat out just now was the pooled blood that was in his body for years, and he entered a deep sleep temporarily, so his body could heal itself. Ximing Rong took some time to return to his senses until he was able to speak again. That is Master's health still in any danger right now? Sun Bai Chao laughed. Although Ninth Master's illness can't be completely cured, his condition has stabilized. As long as he continues to take care of his health, it's only a matter of time before he'll fully recover. It's all thanks to Yi Wanwan's meticulous care lately. As Ninth Master's attending physician, I'm honestly ashamed. All of you should really thank her properly. After hearing what Sun Bai Chao said, Si Mingli was dumbfounded and in disbelief. He was completely stunned. How could it be that Si Han, who was near death just moments ago, became alive and kicking in the next second? I just sent that cheap woman to prison. Dead meat. Hurry, get that woman out of there. Chapter 879. 879. Si Mingli was still kneeling on the ground. His face stiffened and he was twitching as he said, I heard the doctor said you're awake, so I was too excited. Way too excited. He then stood up and pretended like nothing happened. Damn it. Not only is Si Han perfectly fine, but his health is starting to improve. How's this possible? Dr. Liu, is there really nothing seriously wrong with Master's health? Si Mingli probed. When the chief specialist heard that, he was embarrassed and said, "Sorry, I made an incorrect diagnosis just now and didn't check things clearly. Old Sun is more experienced and Mr. C is really out of danger." At this moment, a hobbling figure walked in with a servant. "Dr. Liu, did you tell the truth just now?" Specialist Liu saw that the old madam was walking in and he hurriedly replied, "Old madam, Old Sun and I confirmed and checked together. We're not wrong." Sun Baichao looked at the old madam and pacified her. "Old madam, please calm down. It's proven now that Miss Wanwan's recuperation methods were extremely effective, and as long as she continues, even Ninth Master's old illness has a 50% chance of fully recovering." "That's fantastic. That's really great. This is a blessing from our ancestors." "A blessing?" The old madam was extremely emotional as she walked up to Si Yihan and scanned her grandson up and down. Seeing that he was standing there healthy, not looking pale anymore, she was very elated. Upon seeing that things had reached an end, Si Mingli's body was trembling as he took a gulp. Before he merely criticized the girl, and one of Yi Jie's legs was crippled for being disrespectful to the mistress of the household. If Si Yihan found out he had locked the girl up in the dark chamber without permission. Moreover, now the girl was not only the future mistress of the household, but she also saved Master's life too. Taking this opportunity now that Si Yihan was placating the old madam, Si Mingli retreated from the crowd silently, then hurriedly called his confidant. "Hey, where's that woman? We took her to the dark chamber already. Should we begin the torture?" "Torture my ass. Hurry, get her out of there right now." Get her out." "Yes. Immediately. Right now. Don't ask why." "Okay." Si family's dark chamber. After the two guards at the entrance received the call from Si Mingli, they rushed back, baffled. Meanwhile, Yuanwan was squatting there with her chin in her hand, and was looking at the man in the opposite chamber getting tortured. From the Punisher and the prisoner's conversation, she found out that the man had infiltrated the Si family and stole a large number of trade secrets. He had been locked up for 3 months already and his lips were still sealed, unwilling to reveal who the mastermind was. "I wrong, master, your whipping technique is too rough. So unprofessional, eh? The angle is wrong. Really, it's not painful at all if you whip this way and you're wasting your energy. Look, you're already sweating all over and he hasn't even told you a thing. Let me teach you. There's a special method to save you trouble. It's called the feeling of deprivation. Just lock him up somewhere without any natural light, sounds or smells and let him wear something that's very soft. He won't feel a thing when he wears it, which will make him lose all senses, including his sense of time. Let me tell you, a normal person would have a mental breakdown in such a situation in less than 16 hours. Even for those who received special training before, they would only be able to last a day at most." Chapter 880. Yi Wanwan continued criticizing and the big brother, who was executing the torture, cracked the whip in his hands. Come. You do it. I'll let you do the interrogating, all right?" Yi Wanwan grinned. "Sure." The mole who was pretending to be dead immediately stiffened up. His eyes widened as he shook his head violently with fear. "Big bro, please continue whipping me. Don't swap with her." At this moment, footsteps were approaching. Si Mingli's confidants came over. "Duanji, open the door. Let this woman out," one of them said. Yi Wanwan was leaning against the bars. When she heard that, her expression changed and she looked at the two of them coldly. "Let me out?" The big brother who was in charge of torture looked like he was about to break down. It was as if they were his knights in shining armor. "You guys are finally here. This woman is really something else. Did you guys bring her here to be tortured or to torture me?" The two of them looked at each other, then looked at excited Yi Wanwan, whose eyes were glistening. Then they turned to the big brother who looked like he was breaking down, and they could roughly guess what happened. Thankfully, they came over in time. "Stop chatting. Open up and let her go." The two of them urged him. Although they didn't know why their boss wanted to let her go, they only needed to execute his orders. The big brother didn't need to know anymore either, and quickly went over to open the cell door. My little grandaunt, please get out. Stop bothering me. Yi Wanwan raised her brows and stood in the same spot. Get out? Who said I wanted to leave? The three of them were immediately dumbfounded. Miss Yi, didn't you hear us? We said we're letting you go. Yi Wanwan yawned and directly sat down on the floor cross-legged. Who wants to leave? You guys can just let anybody else out. I'm not done having fun yet. The three people, what? The mole who was whipped till his skin hung in tatters and his flesh was battered. I want to get out. While the three of them were in a daze, Si Mingli's footsteps could be heard coming from behind them as he rushed over. Where is she? Have you let her out yet? Si Mingli probed urgently. The guard looked at Yi Wanwan then answered, appearing like he was in a very difficult situation. A fourth elder, she's not willing to leave. Useless. You can't even do such a simple task. Get lost. Seeing how flustered and frustrated Si Mingli was, Yi Wanwan already knew that. Si Yihan was awake, and he was fine. Otherwise, Si Mingli would never have chased her out with such urgency. Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief. The big, heavy rock in her heart was finally gone. Meanwhile, in the ward, the old madam hugged Si Yihan and cried emotionally for a very long time. Si Yihan soothed the old madam as he looked out the window into the distance, and felt like something was off. Sui was standing by the side, and was extremely anxious. Finally, he found a chance to speak. Ninth Master. Feng Yiping quickly interrupted Sui. Housekeeper Su, Master just escaped from death. He must have many things to say to old madam. Let's not stay here and disturb them. The old madam held her grandson's hand tightly. All of you should leave first. I'd like to talk to Audiobook. Su Yi's expression turned frosty. He ignored Feng Yiping, who tried to stop him, and directly said, Ninth Master, old madam, Miss Wanwan is still in the dark chamber. When the old madam heard that, her face changed instantly. What did you say? Wanwan's in the dark chamber? Chapter 881. 881, even the look on Si Yihan's face changed. Dark chamber. He clearly arranged for someone to protect her, and allow her to leave safely. When he didn't see her the moment he woke up, he assumed she definitely left China already. Dark chamber. That's the Si family's prison. Even if a living person walked out of there, they would leave crippled. A sudden cold and menacing atmosphere emerged in the ward. In the dark chamber, Si Mingli's phone rang, and it was a call from Feng Yiping. Si Mingli said in an annoyed tone, Hello? What is it? At the other end of the phone, Feng Yiping reported in a low voice, We have a problem, fourth elder. Ninth Master knows about it and is rushing towards the prison right now. What did you just say? Si Mingli was panicking. After he hung up, Si Mingli quickly wiped off the sweat on his forehead and walked towards Yi Wanwan. He had a complete change in attitude and smiled as he performed a 90-degree bow. Miss Yi. Yi Wanwan had a faint smile and looked at Si Mingli. Everything's fine. Why's fourth uncle being so ceremonious suddenly? Upon hearing her saying the exact same thing Si Yihan said, Si Mingli's face nearly contorted into a snarl, but he suppressed his anger. Miss Yi, please pardon me for being disrespectful before. I was simply too worried about Master's health, and just wanted to be able to answer the elders at the hospital, so my tone was a little harsh. As a girl, your immune system is weaker and it's really chilly here. You should hurry up and leave. Yi Wanwan didn't mind at all. Fourth uncle, it's no big deal. It's very spacious here and very interesting. There are also free performances by an expert. Si Mingli's face twitched, and he finally couldn't hold his anger back anymore. Yi Wanwan, I'm warning you, don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit one. Yi Wanwan. Thank you very much, fourth uncle, but I don't drink. As he watched the time passing by slowly while Si Yihan was already on his way down, Si Mingli finally revealed his true nature. Why are you guys still standing there? Help Miss Yi leave this place. Si Mingli ordered coldly. Yes. The two guards gave each other a knowing look and grabbed Yi Wanwan aggressively. In the next second, before he could touch Yi Wanwan, one of them was sent flying with a kick. Following that, the other man fell to the ground after feeling a severe pain to his knee. Although he heard this woman was pretty skilled, he was completely stunned when he saw that his confidants couldn't even get close to her. Yi Wanwan caressed her fingers and looked at Si Mingli. She laughed casually. I wonder if fourth uncle has heard of this phrase before? Si Mingli knitted his brows tightly. Yi Wanwan continued. It's easier to invite a devil than to send it away. Si Mingli was so mad that he nearly spat out blood. You. At this moment, there were numerous footsteps coming towards them from a distance. Si Mingli turned around and saw a threatening figure. His entire body stiffened. Master. Aside from Si Yihan, the old madam was there too, and behind them was Su Yi Su Changkuan, Si Mingrong, Feng Yiping and the group of elders. They all arrived grandly. Ninth Master. The torturer was stunned, then he bowed respectfully. Ninth Master. It was as if the two guards had just seen a ghost. They stood up immediately and knelt at the side, trembling with fear. They didn't think Ninth Master would actually come to the dark chamber. Chapter 882. Isn't Ninth Master about to die? Why did he come here, and how does he look perfectly fine? They only dared to do this to this woman because they thought Ninth Master was dying, and Si Mingli would be taking over the family. Si Yihan was only focused on one thing. His eyes grazed past everyone as he walked towards the girl. When he saw her in the dark chamber, his pitch-black eyes suddenly deepened. There, he saw her in a little red dress. Her black hair fell over her shoulders. She had a rosy complexion, and her cherry blossom lips looked tender. In this gloomy and terrifying dark chamber, she was like a rose in full bloom. Unbelievably beautiful, illuminating the darkness. Si Yihan froze for a moment, and he stood in front of her. His breath was slightly ragged as the rage in his eyes rose. Why aren't you leaving? Yi Wanwan smiled. Her eyes looked like a myriad of stars in the galaxy. I was waiting for you. What if you woke up and didn't see me? Aside from Si Xia, an unexpected person suddenly appeared at Jean Garden in the middle of the night, and wanted to take her away. However, she already made the decision to stay and obviously didn't follow him. As for how she actually got that person to compromise, it was best that Si Yihan didn't know about it. I was waiting for you. What if you woke up and didn't see me? Si Yihan's heart was shaken as he looked at her standing before him saying those words with such a sweet smile. At the same time, the air around him became colder. It might have been because the prison was too gloomy that everyone felt a chill up their spines. Swish. Si Yihan took off his blazer and strode over to Yi Wanwan, wrapping her body up. Si Yihan had a terrifying look on his face. He looked like a demon that had just stepped out of hell. Yi Wanwan fell into his embrace and said shyly, "What took you so long? I was so scared." Guard A, Guard B, torturer, a certain someone lying on the ground. Si Yihan looked at Su Yi. Su Yi immediately whipped out the phone and walked up to Si Mingli. Dad, save me. Save me. Si Yijia's blood-curdling shrieks came through the receiver. Yijia. Si Mingli's face was as white as sheet. Lately, Si Yihan had been recuperating and hadn't gotten involved in any bloody fights. He even forgot how ruthless this man was. Si Yihan covered Yi Wanwan's ears, and didn't let her hear Si Yijia's horrifying screams. After that, he shot an icy glance toward Si Mingli. His eyes lacked any human emotion. From today onwards, Si Mingli will be discharged from all duties and is expelled from the family clan. He is not allowed to join the clan again for the rest of his life. The moment Si Yihan said those words, everyone was stunned. What? Si Mingli's expression changed completely. How can you do that? I don't agree to this. This punishment isn't according to the rules. Yijia already took the punishment in my place, right? With his status in the Si family, he thought the worst that could happen was his son's other leg getting crippled. But who knew that Si Yihan could be so heartless? Sis-in-law. Si Mingli looked at the old madam by the side. The old madam shut her eyes without a care for Si Mingli. Big bro. Say something. The master is being so unreasonable. How could you not care? Si Mingli clenched his fists, and there was a subtle change in his eyes. Si Yihan was the master of the Si family, But the Si family wasn't controlled by him alone. Si Mingrong stepped forward and said in a deep voice, "Master, this punishment is too serious. There's no such punishment in the family rules." Si Yihan. There isn't. Si Mingrong felt like he was soaking in a cold pond when the man's eyes were on him. Yes. Si Yihan's gaze swept past all the people who were ready to defend Si Mingli and he said indifferently, "There is now. Rules? I make the Si family's rules." Chapter 883. There is now. Following Si Yihan's cold words, there was a dead silence in the gruesome dark chamber. None of the elders dared to say a word. Si Mingrong frowned and didn't refute in the end. At the end of the day, this situation was really not in their favor. If Si Yihan disrupted the state of the family clan for a woman, normally, he would have to be stopped, but this woman restored his health, which was tantamount to saving the entire family clan. The rest of the elders hid in the corner, and they all chose to feign death. Although the master's actions were a little over the top, they were in no place to comment at this time. Furthermore, who would dare to? It was probably over for Si Mingli this time. There were some elders who realized they were still wearing the little white flower Si Mingli gave them for the funeral, and they quickly took it off. Si Yihan, don't you dare. Si Mingli was in disbelief. He couldn't believe Si Yihan would actually do this. Young man, don't forget that when your dad died, who supported the Si family. Now that you spread your wings, this is how you treat me, huh? Seeing that Si Yihan was pushing him to his death, Si Mingli couldn't play pretend any longer, and he started shouting crazily. The old madam's face turned ugly when she heard that. This Si Mingli had been resting on his laurels, and was very arrogant and ambitious, getting increasingly out of control. She was just being considerate of Si Yihan's illness, so she hadn't dared to do anything reckless, but who knew that Si Mingli would get so greedy? The more he got, the more he wanted. Si Mingli was still yelling. The Si family should belong to me. Who are you to take it away? Master, shitty master. Seeing that he was getting more and more out of hand, the old madam gave the guard a meaningful glance. Take him down. Yes. Si Mingli was quickly dragged away and his shouts echoed in the dark chamber. Dumb guy, you'll die a horrible death. Let's see how much longer you have to live. A tinge of cold light flashed in Yi Wanwan's eyes. She laid on Si Yihan's chest and glared frostily in the direction where Si Mingli was being dragged away. Don't worry about that. He'll live till your coffin rots. Upon hearing this nasty comment from her, Si Yihan's frozen expression warmed up a little. Yi Wanwan then seemed to have remembered something as she started to look worried. Si Yihan simply discharged Si Mingli of all his official duties and expelled him from the family clan. This was the same as chasing him out of the Si family. By doing so, wouldn't they never find out who the mastermind was? However, the opposite might happen. As the saying went, a cornered dog will jump over the wall. The old madam urged him. Si Yihan nodded. He carried Yi Wanwan out then strode out of the dark chamber. Qin Ruoshi, wearing a white dress, stared gloomily at the man who was holding Yi Wanwan protectively, and she walked away silently. Ruoshi, what happened? Qin Feng asked in a low voice over the phone. Father, Audiobook has recovered. The doctor said there shouldn't be anything serious with his health anymore. This guy. We really can't lower our guard around him. Si Mingli, that fool, lost his cool, serves him right. He can't even win over someone of the younger generation. After Qin Feng was done talking, he added, Since Si Yihan's fine now, we'll stick to the original plan. We won't consider the other options. After all, there's only one man in the entire Si family who's worthy of you. Chapter 884 Jean Garden. While most people could meet again after a long separation, Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan had nearly been separated forever. Yi Wanwan wanted to hug her beauty affectionately, but as soon as they returned home, Si Yihan arranged for over 10 doctors to check up on her to confirm she didn't have any injuries. She was also forced to drink a huge bowl of super ultra disgusting ginger soup before she was chased upstairs to take a hot shower. What a serious lack of emotions. Meanwhile, Si Yihan sat on the sofa downstairs like an ice sculpture. Si Mingli's two confidants were dealt with, and the torturer in the dark chamber, Duan Li Zhao, had an ashen face as he stood before Si Yihan. Ninth Master, I swear to God, I didn't do anything to hurt Miss Yi at all. As he thought about what happened to those two guards, Duan Li Zhao, who had been in charge of punishing prisoners for many years, felt a fear that was even more frightening than all the punishments combined as he stood before Si Yihan. At this moment, Sui was holding a USB in his hand, and he rushed over. Ninth Master, I got the CCTV footage of the dark chamber. Currently, Sui was covered in a cold sweat. If Miss Wanwan suffered in the dark chamber, he really couldn't imagine the consequences. Even though the doctors already conducted a thorough check on Miss Wanwan and confirmed she was physically unharmed, the scars from threats and intimidation from a place like the dark chamber would be harder to heal psychologically. Even if Duan Li Zhao didn't cause any substantial harm to Miss Wanwan, he would definitely be doomed considering Master's temper, if he scared her even a little. Si Yihan. Play it. Sui glanced at Duan Li Zhao helplessly. Yes, Duan Li Zhao had worked for the Si family for many years, and had always been in charge of the dark chamber. Although he was similar to his immediate superior, Si Mingrong, and was quite inflexible, he was very loyal towards the Si family. But this time he violated Ninth Master's greatest taboo. Sui didn't dare to delay further as he inserted the USB into the laptop, and played the footage immediately. After scanning through the video, Yi Wanwan's figure appeared on the screen. She seemed confident that Si Yihan would recover. She had delicate makeup on her face, and was wearing a stunning dress. Her expression was calm, and she was taken inside by Si Mingli's confidants. An ear-piercing shriek came from the laptop. In the dark chamber, a man's chest was burnt till his skin split, and his flesh protruded. He was drenched in fresh blood that made even Sui cringe a little as he watched by the side. But Si Yihan's face turned even more terrifying. The heart-wrenching screams grew louder, and Yi Wanwan was brought to the cell opposite the man being punished. Sui swallowed and almost didn't dare to continue watching. No matter how strong Yi Wanwan was, she was still a young lady who just turned 20 years old. How could she stand to look at such things? When Ninth Master went to pick up Miss Wanwan just now, Miss Wanwan was so scared that she fell into Ninth Master's arms immediately. She must have been really frightened. Thoughts ran through Suyi's mind before he heard Yi Wanwan's clear voice from the laptop. What era are we in right now? You guys are still using such an old-fashioned method of torture? Yi Wanwan was seen hopping closer to the cell, stretching her head to look inside, and even shaking her head while she criticized the guards with disdain. Let me tell you guys, this sort of torture only works on small fishes and prawns. Hey, do you guys have any idea what mental torture is? Do you guys need me to teach you? Oh right, there's more, the 10th method is. Sui watched as the two guards fled while Yi Wanwan continued watching Duan Li Zhao with her eyes glistening. She started chattering. Chapter 885. 885. I wrong master, your whipping technique is too rough. So unprofessional, Wrong, the angle is wrong. Hey, let me teach you. There's a special method to save you trouble. In the end, Duan Li Zhao was seen on the verge of breaking down in the footage when he tossed the whip to the ground. Come. You do it. I'll let you do the interrogating, alright? In the footage, the girl was all smiles and exclaimed excitedly, sure. After watching the entire footage, Si Yihan, Sui. There must be something wrong with the way I played the footage. Duan Li Zhao stood by the side and looked aggrieved. He had almost turned to frost. Ninth Master. How could I have the guts to lie to you? Miss Yi really wasn't scared at all. Sui hadn't expected that the truth was completely different from what he thought. Even Si Yihan went silent, and his gaze landed on the girl in the footage. He kept looking at her bright and cheeky eyes. She's really cute. Right at that moment, Duan Li Zhao's phone started ringing. It was unclear what the caller said, but Duan Li Zhao's expression turned even more indescribable. What is it? Sui asked. Duan Li Zhao choked a little and replied, That man agreed to confess, Sui. That spy who stole our trade secrets? Duan Li Zhao. Yes, that. The one in the footage. He was locked up for over 3 months and I used all sorts of methods, but he just wouldn't speak up, Sui. Then why did he agree to confess all of a sudden? As Sui spoke, he turned to look at the footage. He had a sort of not-so-clever guess. Duan Li Zhao. He said he would confess, but he had a condition. Sui what? Duan Li Zhao. Don't hand him over to Miss Yi, Sui. Sui had no idea what to say. Miss Wanwan simply entered the dark chamber once, and not only was she not traumatized, but she even scared the spy so badly that he agreed to confess? Ninth Master. Duan Li Zhao carefully looked at the man on the sofa. Si Yihan waved, indicating that he could leave. Duan Li Zhao heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly retreated like he just received amnesty. Sui also kept the laptop on the coffee table. Sui was about to speak to Si Yihan when footsteps came from upstairs. Yuanwan was done showering and was coming down. Since they were at home, Yuanwan wasn't wearing anything formal and simply wore her fluffy pink bunny pajamas. She looked innocent and harmless, and one would never make a connection between her present self and the girl in the footage. Audio. Showered. I'm done hug. She had already done the body checkup, drank the ginger soup and showered. She could finally get a hug, right? Si Yihan didn't have any demands this time, and willingly took her into his arms. Once Yi Wanwan smelled his familiar scent, she immediately started to yawn. Ever since Si Yihan spat out blood and went into a coma, she hadn't slept a wink. Si Yihan furrowed his brows. Go to bed. Yi Wanwan whined. You have to accompany me. I don't want to sleep alone. I'm scared. Ajio, you have no idea how scary and gloomy that dark chamber was. If you woke up any later, I would have had a psychological shadow forever. Sui. Si Yihan looked at her and kissed her forehead. All right, I'll accompany you. Sui. Master, you're really playing along with her, huh? Chapter 886. The upheaval that nearly caused the entire Xi family and China's business sector to become a mess suddenly dissipated following news of Si Yihan's recovery. Xi Mingli had always been very cautious and never allowed anyone to have an advantage over him. However, he thought Si Yihan would die for sure this time, so he was careless and left too many loopholes. Xi Mingli's faction was completely expelled from the Xi family, and at the same time, many of his secret henchmen were exposed. There was a large reshuffling of power in the Xi family once again. Late at night. Dad. It hurts. I'm in pain. Dad, you must take revenge for me. I want them dead. I want them dead. Si Jie kept rolling around in bed. This time, not only was one of his legs crippled, but he was tortured and he was completely disabled now. Xi Mingli obviously didn't have the energy to worry about this son of his. He yelled with annoyance. Shut the he up. Do you think I don't have enough problems, huh? Sitting on the sofa opposite Xi Mingli was his second son, Si Qian, who rushed back from abroad. Si Qian said gloomily, Father, you were too careless this time. I told you so many times that you must never let your guard down around Si Yihan. And I also reminded you that you mustn't act recklessly. Why did you still? Xi Mingli was furious. Yiqian, how could you blame me? The news definitely said Si Yihan was beyond cure, and the doctors even informed us of his critical condition. How could I have known he'd still be alive? Seeing that nobody cared about him, Si Jia threw a tantrum on the bed. Why must it be me? Why do I have to suffer for father? Just because I'm the elder son? Si Qian, you're also his son. Why couldn't it have been you? Si Qian raised his brows with disdain and glanced at Si Jia on the bed. He replied expressionlessly, because you're a useless bum and this is the only thing you could do for the family. You. Si Qian, I'm going to kill you. Si Jia moved and exacerbated his wounds, which caused him to wail once again. Si Jia glared at him like a madman and yelled. Ha Si Qian, I'm a useless bum? What are you then? You think you're any better than me? You think you're so high class? Do you think that Qin Ruoshi woman would even take one glance at you, huh? Now that Si Yihan is getting better and Dad was chased out of the Si family, you're nothing. You can only be a spare tire your whole life. In the next second, Ce Qian clutched Ce Jia's throat tightly. With just a little more strength, Ce Jia would have probably died. Say that one more time. Ce Qian's handsome and refined face was now extremely hostile. Qian, that's enough. Why do you care about what he says? Si Mingli glanced at his noisy eldest son, then turned to Ce Qian and said, that sickly Si Yihan really thinks he can hide the truth from everyone in China. Qian, don't worry about it. Whether it's the Si family or a woman, what's yours will be yours. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ocean, the morning sun had just risen. The warm glow from the sun silently basked the vintage manor. There was a mysterious vintage pattern engraved on the wall at the entrance of the manor. The word Nia was written in a seal script 1. Suddenly, there was a loud crash of porcelain, and the maid screamed in a panic, breaking the silence of the morning. No, this is bad. Little young master. Little young master is missing. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.